It has always been my dream to start something from the ground up. But space is hard.
May I suggest that become the new Space Force motto?
This mission will be our greatest moment. Mission accomplished.
Play it again.
No time.
Here's a message of importance to millions of people who are continually pale and washed out, weak and run down. Doctors will tell you that these conditions are often caused by a deficiency of iron. The iron you need to keep you physically fit and mentally alert. Medical studies show that 2 out of 3 women and many, many men lack the daily iron your body requires in a form your body can easily use and put to work. Every dose gives you more than your daily minimum iron requirement.
We are awake, we are aware, we are not alone. We are striving for more.
So if you're not getting the iron your body needs, if you feel weak, run down, and are easily upset, start taking iron today.
Not for me, okay?
The iron you need to get what you want.
Well, TGIF, everybody. Welcome to Have No Sphere, right here on the Iron Realm Media YouTube channel. My name is Josh Corey, and we've got another exciting show for you planned. That's the idea. We have a returning guest, our longtime friend Douglas Falk. But let's jump right in and say hello to the folks, starting off with Mrs. Cammie Nodell, who is busy battling bouts of anxiety as she stares a cross-country move straight in the eye and says, "Bring it on." Cammie, how are you doing this week?
Hey, I am doing great. It's really happening. It is scary as all get out, but exciting at the same time. Something that, again, this is the house my son was born at, and we raised him. So many memories, so many things happening, and yet in the city is not where this girl wants to be anymore. Doing good. It was the day started great. It was a feel good Friday. Welcome back, Robin, at Lifting the Lid. If people do not know the Lifting the Lid channel in Robin, subscribe now. He does the best Friday for me, a morning show, and how I like to start the day, called Feel Good Friday, covering topics and happy news throughout the community and things to feel good about. And I know my day started that way, and that was really a great way to start. Thanks, Robin.
Big fans of Robin. And I think those are for the late risers. Robin is a great Friday morning show. But for the early risers, you can't forget the Ironworks over there on Truth Frequency Radio, where the next two fellas that I'm about to introduce join me every Tuesday and Friday, starting off at 4 a.m. Central. 4 a.m. twice a week. For nigh 3 years now. Let's say hello to Mr. Walter Johnson. Walt, how was your week, sir?
It was great.
That's what I like to hear.
Everybody. It's getting better. As you know, things here have been pretty hectic and crazy, and now it's starting to settle, and there's rough days, better days, happy days, and sad days, but we're getting there. And I'll be heading home soon in a week or so. So these 3 months have been longer than 3 months for damn sure, and or 4. Or see, there you go, time. I really think while we all stopped watching time, it got real stretchy and elastic and started doing lots of tricks. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, but yeah, we had a good show. Well, you guys had a good show this morning. I was a little out of it, a little tired. You said 4 a.m. It's 2 a.m. over here. Don't forget. I understand some of those guests who are reluctant to join us at 2 a.m. out here on the left coast. It's pretty rough getting up or staying up. That's what I say. If you stay up, you're toasted, and if you get up, you're like, "Urgh." So it's rough at 2 a.m. on the west coast for sure.
Yeah, I forget that that's 2 a.m. start time.
Right.
That's why you
and
stay up.
Shout out to my other West Coast buddy right here. Shout out to Paul on the plane who dropped me a note this morning. It was much appreciated, brother. Love you. Miss you a lot. Wish you'd come hang out with us.
Yeah, we need to get Paul back on here. It's funny you say that because I was just thinking about Paul on the plane.
And everybody, I'm saying, everybody's appreciated that I've been thinking through the whole thing, but I just haven't thought of Paul being out here all this time, and plus Candy's right out here too. And I wish I had time to come see you guys, but there was no social time while all this was going on, and now I'm ready to get home. I'm ready to get out of lockdown here in the crazy state of Oregon and go home where there's a little more freedom in Louisiana.
Well, not for nothing, but you're just a touch on the quiet side there, Walt. I don't know if there's anything you can do there.
Was it the mic? Did I have the mic too far away?
That could be.
Yeah.
That is a little bit better. Yeah.
All right. Plus my camera. I was just saying, hey, the camera usually messes audio up, so I'll turn it off. Is that better?
Better for me.
Nice. I hope it's better for everyone. Hello, chat. I was saying hey to folks, and then I'll have to stop because if I start paying attention to chat, John Savage's ghost will rise up. Right, and get me. So shout out to Savage and Adam and Rob. We miss you guys. Come see us soon when you can again.
Yeah, what was I looking at the other day? I saw Cal's name scroll across my face and thought, damn, there's a name I've not thought of in a while.
That is a blast from the past. Woo! Yeah, our buddy Cal. Miss him as well. And many others.
Many others. That's true. Some we miss not so much.
You're so silly.
Been long.
Man,
it's you're right.
Me and him buried the hatchet, believe it or not. We got to hanging out on Twitter, and yeah.
There's people we don't need to mention. It's been a long time that we don't need to mention these names anymore.
You're not funny. You just play one on TV.
I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to Good Times for All. You can find him right here on YouTube. GUDTIMS, the number 4ALL. Good Times for All. Zachary Zabala, Too Nice for Rice, the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man. Zach, how the hell was your Friday, sir?
Oh, not too bad. Kind of weird. Went grocery shopping early after the show this morning, and it was unusually empty, a lot emptier than normal. And I'm going to put it up to with all the riots and whatnot going on. Maybe people thought, hey, I need to stock up on stuff. It was kind of weird. And then I had a few conversations and overheard a few conversations. And it's not like the black people were being racist towards me or any other, person there, but they were very adamant about it not being safe for them to go outside because of fear of getting their neck stomped on. And it was just so surreal to actually see it.
So that's a little tongue-in-cheek, right? They're not like thinking that there's like roving bands of police officers looking for black people to stomp on their necks, right?
In a way, I'm going to jump in here because I'm in Denver too, right next to Zach. I'm watching the news a little bit more closely. What is going on is when they're covering the riots and the things going on in Denver, which we have a sympathy riot going for Minneapolis, is they keep on commenting on how we didn't have riots when, and they give a laundry list of all of the Black people that have got unjustifiably killed in Denver and how bad Denver's police brutality has been. And it's not pretty here. There's been they've had their fair share of, I mean, there's definitely been a fair share of strange looking deaths in custody type of things here. But what they are is every news station you go to, they're lining them out one by one by one over the years. And so that's really being put out by the news stations where there really is it's creating that fear on it.
Unfortunately, I have to jump into here. Unfortunately, in different parts of the world I've grown up in, it's pretty much been small towns, and so you kind of grow up with your police force. You know them from school, you know them from the community, you know them from hearing the stories of what they do to their pets and to their friends and to their wives and girlfriends, and there's a profile that they either attract or seek out purposefully that tends to be a very thuggish type personality. And that's just been my experience here or not here, but where I grew up in the South, in all the little towns I grew up in. The people that were the punk, bully assholes growing up are usually who wound up on the force.
Yeah, that tends to be a pretty accurate personality profile. Anybody willing
Yeah, I
to?
only know a couple that are like actually, their father was a police officer, their grandfather was a police officer. He knew he was going
Right,
to be a
old
police
school, right?
officer at like
Exactly.
4 years old. I only know a couple of those types of people. And where I grew up, I knew all the police growing up. Not because I was bad or anything, but just because it was a small type town and I played sports and all their children played sports. And I mean, the chief of police, who was later the chief of police, I used to go swimming in his pool every day and carpooled with his daughter. It was just small community, everybody. And yeah, all those types of people are gone. Now it's all people from other cities that get hired into different places. It's weird. It is. And he doesn't like it. I mean, he's going to be a cop till the day, till he retires. That's what dad did and grandpa did. But he doesn't, it's not like when his dad was a police officer at all. It's a totally different police force that they have now. It's by design.
I think even I'm going to think back to when I was in my early 20s, and I'm not anymore. But even thinking back, I had friends back then. So this is, taking you back to the early 80s, mid 80s. And I did have a couple of friends there who had boyfriends or husbands that were in the police force at different levels. And I do have to say, fair or unfair, I couldn't stay friends with these people because they were in abusive relationships and kept going back. And it was uncomfortable for me as a friend to witness the same thing with them over and over, that it was always the same trauma. Um, so again, it's not all cops and it's not all that, but I do think that the feeling need to dominate is one of the reasons you might want to go into that type of career, just by the nature of design. I mean, I know the last thing I would want to do would be apprehending people. And so by the nature of the beast, what you get is, again, the bullies. You're right. You're right, Walt.
Well, we have a guest here with us, don't we?
We
We
absolutely
certainly do. We have a longtime friend of the show, author of The Voyage, Mr. Douglas Falk, and a new YouTube content creator, too, here to tell us all about he's got been going on. The hell did I just say? Douglas, thanks so much for joining us here on Have No Sphere. Glad to have you back. How are you doing, sir? How are you holding up?
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, things are pretty good. It's been a bit busy week. Or today, the Dome Life episode with me was just released. So I've been up to quite a lot of things this week. I talked a bit about my experience with the dreaded coronavirus.
Yeah, that's right. You and your father
Yeah.
were. Now, did you test positive for it, or did they just tell you that you had the coronavirus?
No, they didn't tell me a thing because I never went to the hospital.
Smart man.
So I went into great detail about this on Paul's podcast. But basically, what happened is that, well, I live with my dad here on the countryside, and so we felt that we were pretty much safe in the sense that we never went to any social occasions these past months. We lived like hermits. But then, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we both got sick, and we both got the identical symptoms. But the big clincher between the both of us is that he suffered way worse than I did. I mean, what I experienced was, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that bad. I've experienced way worse pains in my life because I have a history of health problems, especially like stomach issues that are extremely painful. And this was nothing compared to this. And if my experience is like the average pain level for whatever this thing is, then the draconian measures are not warranted, in my opinion. But what happened with my dad is that he had trouble breathing, so he had to go to the ER, and he tested positive. But he was never put on any ventilators. They just sent him home. And
well, no, you guys have been pretty lax about all that kind of stuff over there, right?
Oh yeah, extremely
you didn't
lax.
go insane. Yeah.
Extremely lax. It's the most lax country in the world in terms of this. But yeah, my dad, he's fully back to normal now. But it took him like 2.5 weeks because for over those 2.5 weeks, he was coughing nonstop.
Oh man.
So that was pretty.
Yeah.
That was pretty eerie, actually.
Yeah, I bet.
And look, there are so many thoughts about this, what it could be, and I have no idea. I just know what I went through. I didn't get tested, but my dad did. So in my opinion, this is not a hoax, but it's also not something to be.
Yeah, the numbers don't warrant what other countries have been doing.
Yeah, my point is that it doesn't warrant a complete shutdown. That's what I think.
Yeah. Now, was it the worst flu you've ever had?
It wasn't like the flu at all. Paul asked me this as well, actually.
So no throwing up, no.
No. The thing that was different for me was that, and my dad had this issue as well. We both had a shortness of breath, and like I said, for me,
on the lungs almost.
Yeah,
like
for me, like I said, this all went away after just 3 days. So,
just wondering.
Yeah.
Have they upgraded your area with new internet, with 5G, with anything like that? Your house get a new company? Because has all this started here in Oregon? The big company that controls the internet here sold their stuff to a new company that provides internet here, which was really unusual because the company that had done it here was one of the big ones, like Comcast or somebody.
I honestly, I don't know. But the most likely place that we got infected, if that's the case, is the supermarket, because no one wears masks here or anything. It's nothing like the panic that's going on in the US, where everyone has to wear a mask going into the supermarket. No one wears a mask here. So the way this is playing out in my country, it's sort of like, yeah, it's just playing out naturally, whatever this is. I have no idea what it is, but I can just tell you what I experienced. And yeah, the shortness of breath symptom, that was actually pretty creepy because I am an avid walker and I walk a lot every day because I have a dog that requires several hours of exercise every day. And on the worst day of this, I had shortness of breath just going to the post box, which is like 500 meters away. So I don't really have, I don't have a point or anything. I don't have a conclusive statement about this, but I can just tell you what I went through. So
Well,
Yeah,
it's interesting because we
Well-
are short of firsthand accounts. At least I am
Mhm.
of people actually having had an interaction with whatever this is.
Now, have you ever had anything? No, you've never had anything like this before, right? With the shortness of breath.
no, the two main symptoms for me were fever and shortness of breath. And of course, fever I've had many times before. But the whole thing about, because I am a very, very active person, so I knew instantly that there was something weird about this when I had trouble breathing for when I just walked for a tiny distance. But like I said, it went away after just a few days. So apparently my immune system is way stronger than I thought. So I'm actually kind of happy about that.
Well,
And
yeah,
now,
the numbers show people in your age group don't. They, like you said, 3 days or so, and it's
oh
not
yeah,
until you start getting older or really, really young to where the immune system hasn't been built up yet.
yeah. In any case, I don't live in the slightest amount of fear right now. Now that I've had whatever this weird thing is, I will admit that I was scared before I got this because, like I think I mentioned before that I have had health problems, mainly like severe stomach issues, and I just thought that my immune system would be weaker than it was, but it proved to be really strong actually. So yeah, but it's not a flu. That much I can conclude. It's not a flu, whatever it is.
Okay. Yeah, like a chest cold, a real bad strain of. I mean, it happens every year. Maybe not to this extent. Do you usually get the flu, or
uh,
do you ever get a flu shot?
no, not that I can recall. And now that you mention it, I haven't actually gotten the flu thing for like years, actually.
Since you were younger?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember I went a long time there for a while where I'd gotten the flu at a young age and it was horrible, just horrible. But then, like, I didn't get that flu type thing ever again until I got somewhat older and I started drinking and having a little too much fun. And I'm sure I destroyed my immune system.
yeah,
And then I got sick again and said, hey, this sucks, and started caring about my immune system. And I haven't been sick really since.
yeah. That's a good question, but I know for sure I haven't taken any shot, any vaccine shot or anything for at least 10 years, probably 15 years, if I can. Uh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, here in Denver, they're talking about making masks mandatory for school children when they open up school next year. And 6 foot social distancing. Yeah, they're trying to say only 16 children per classroom, which usually they're
Which is
double that.
madness.
Yeah.
No group lunches. They have to sit at their desk. They can't share shit. They can't touch each other. They can't be humans. They have to turn into fucking robots. Sorry. Walt rant. My bad.
They were already no on your rant. I'm going to go along with it. They were already, and it was one of the reasons, that my son wasn't at. But like, there's an elementary school literally around the corner, right behind me, and So it's a walking distance, a lovely little, neighborhood elementary school. And they were already, when my son was kindergarten and first grade ages, they were talking about everything, hugs and bubbles, that when you go from one classroom to the other, you have to hug yourself. So put your arms in a hug and then blow a bubble with your mouth so you can't talk, and keeping a couple of feet between them. So it's like they've
What
been
the
working.
fucking actual fuck?
These are the same. These are elementary age children, and also like wearing the uniforms and keeping them tucked in and the belts and the whole. Yeah, it did not work well at all with my child, who was busy and active and had a brain and was thinking and questioning on the whys
And was a child?
and was a
Jesus, man,
child.
people are
But
so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I'm just
I
not.
know,
I
but
have
I'm
no
looking at
patience for
this.
stupidity anymore. After what I've gone through, I am very short on patience with stupidity.
So
God.
yeah, what they're doing with it now and adding face masks and this, and I don't even, I mean, like the school right behind me, the little neighborhood school, it's elementary, it's first or kindergarten through the fifth grade, and it's got over 700 kids at it. You can't, the classrooms are over 30 kids. I mean, putting 16 kids in a classroom, 8 to 16 or whatever, I don't see it. Are they doubling the space? Are they taking the houses nearby? Or are they, how it's like one thing to say it, but another is like, again, they were packed classrooms before. I don't think they gained any extra classrooms. So it'll be interesting. I'm glad I'm not going to be here. There we go. And I'm glad my son is getting to the grown up phase.
Hugs
Did you
and
guys
bubbles. Jesus Christ. Sorry,
did you
Douglas, go
guys
ahead.
see that video from China that Jaron showed on, I think, last week's lounge, where they like now in China, when the kids go to school, they have to be like sprayed with chemicals first before entering.
It doesn't look all that different on what they're proposing for Denver. It really doesn't, with the breaks for hand washings and the different mandatory things. It doesn't look a whole lot different on what they're proposing. It's spooky. I thought the hugs and bubbles was creepy all by itself, but this adds a whole different level of creepiness to it. That's not how kids learn. I mean, this is not how kids learn. It's wrong. Go ahead and try to tell the preschool teachers and the kindergartners and that the kids, they want to play. It's natural. It's the human condition. And again, it doesn't help a thing. What they're doing is creating a totally sterile and bubble environment for these kids. It's the most unhealthiest thing in the world, as far as proven and getting sick. Even, I mean, throughout history, even for people that have read the beloved books series by James Herriot, and I think they made TV series out of it. All things bright and beautiful, all things great and small.
Was a big
All
fan
things.
growing up. Yeah, big fan of
All,
James Herriot once upon a time.
if you remember James Herriot and All Things Bright and Beautiful, one of his overwhelming curiosities and wonders was the fact that the knacker where they took all the diseased meat and where they did the slaughterhouse and took again all the sick and healthy animals, and that the children that belonged to the knacker, the children that played in the dead filth of this and were eating things off of it and things that you would consider disgusting, they were always the healthiest, brightest. It's like it always got to me with the germ thing, that these kids were always the healthiest in the entire county. But again, this is from his real experiences and going through the farms and that, and you don't put yourself in a germaphobe bubble and stay healthy. It's your system needs good, it needs bad, it needs a balance to function. It needs the electrical. When you get next to people, you get closer than 6 feet, because you each have an electromagnetic field extending approximately 3 feet around you. Your field interacts with other people's fields. It's part of the way things work.
This is why hugging is so important. Real, honest,
Real
heart to
hugging.
heart, person to person hugs.
Yes. The
Yeah,
real kind.
left side of the head, to where your hearts are, touching.
Smash body hugs. I mean, smash
Mhm.
body.
Hugs
Something
and
happens there.
snuggles. Sorry, go ahead.
Tacos and kisses and hugs and snuggles, yes. They do make the world go round, and the memories and the things that happen from it. It's I mean, you can sit there and make light of it and say we're joking, but these are, again, the memories that you have, and they're taking the memories and anything eventful away from you, almost making it one long, blah, drawn out nothing. Maintain your distance, be calm, don't create, don't. Well, I'll let somebody else talk. I'm enough of a Cammy rant on a Friday afternoon. It was going to be a feel good Friday.
Yeah,
I let you down.
Hugs leave, you know, a mark. How many people out there can't remember a single hug? I bet zero. I bet somewhere along everybody's life there's a hug that you got, gave, shared, and you remember that hug. You remember the feeling. You remember so much about it. Who it was with, exactly where you were, what time of year it was.
Mm-hmm.
Zula once swung me off the ground with his hug. It was such a full body that I couldn't touch the ground for like 5 minutes in the air, full body hug. It was good. It was a real hug, Zulu. For those who have not seen Mark Zulu one, he's a great hugger. I highly recommend it.
So, Douglas.
Yep.
What have you been up to?
Not much. I'm writing this sequel, and
Can we read the first chapter?
no.
I want to know what happens. You can't leave this one like that.
Man.
If you're going to do a trilogy, you got to at least stop it somewhere else.
No, it's gonna be a duology. Is that a word, by the way? Duology.
It is now.
It is now, sir.
It is now. Yeah,
You're a vocabulator officially.
Yeah, I was gonna have it released by the end of this year, but obviously that's not going to happen because of all of this thing. I mean, I feel sorry for all the people in the entertainment industry, and I mean everything is put on hold, and especially like in my line of business, writing books, people can't even go to their signing projects or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I've decided to release it next year instead, and take a few more months and think things over, not rush it out the gates. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's the life of a writer. Just the daily grind. Most of it is just thinking, thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there going to be as much research like thrown into this book? I know you're going to research what you're going to write, but I'm talking about like the shape of the earth, because there was a couple chapters in there that just, for people that don't know anything about flat earth, and they could go and actually look all this stuff up, it's going to blow their mind.
Great resources.
No, not nearly as much at all, because at this stage I have I'm assuming that the reader has already rolled with it, so to speak.
Right. So now we could just get all meaty, chunky story.
Yeah, it would be redundant to just go over the 101 stuff once again. So that's what I'm actually really excited about, because if you go on Goodreads right now, my book has very, very good ratings. But the very minor complaints that I've gotten is all about the first couple of chapters, where people feel that there's a little bit too much exposition, and that is what's so much fun with the sequel, is that I can skip all of that, because it's
the story's already been laid out. Yeah,
precisely, and that's what's so much fun. I don't have to do that again, because the groundwork is already there.
And I didn't think it was that long of a setup, really. I mean, I thought it went pretty smoothly and flowed nice. I mean, some people have the attention span of gnats nowadays, and
You're being generous.
Yeah, people will fast forward through a 3-minute YouTube video to skip certain parts of it. It's like it's 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's it's really hard to know to sort of gauge the attention span of the average reader. Zach, I told you about the book that I'm reading right now, which is the #1 bestseller in the world that takes place in the place that you will move to in North Carolina. Will you move to the coast or like Asheville, Charlotte?
Yeah, it's more between Asheville, Charlotte region that they're going to be settling.
Okay, so this book,
not near the coast.
This book takes place entirely on the coast of North Carolina, and this is, like I said, this book has sold in the millions. And what is strange? I love it. I love the book, but what is strange is that it's very slow paced. It's nature porn galore. Nothing really happens. So if that book can make it and sell in the millions, then I don't think my book is that slow.
So it's just
the
a lot of
writer
descriptive
famous?
writing of nature, basically.
Is the writer really famous and well known already before this book?
No, not really. But Zach, you would love it as a gardener. I can definitely recommend this book. For people who aren't aware, it's called "Where the Crawdads Sing." It takes place in North Carolina.
Sounds like a Walt Whitman type of style,
right?
Yeah, but it's so hard to tell what people, and that's the exciting part about being a writer. You never know what people are going to react to, because it's usually the opposite of what you as a writer think. Well, you have a pretty set idea of, okay, people are not going to like this, but they are going to like that. But it turns out it's more often than not it's the opposite way, really.
I used to dabble back in college a bit with short stories and whatnot, and I know there always would come this point where you just the research and the planning and all that kind of went out the window, and it almost just started writing itself. That flow, I guess, that zone. I don't know what you call it, but they were few and far between. But it would happen often enough to make me have some encouragement for it a little bit. I don't know. I have to dig up some of those stories somewhere.
Nice. Yeah, it's never too late, Walt. And this book that I mentioned, Where the Crawdads Sing, I've actually showed this to my dad because he has tried for all his life to write a book, but he's never been able to pull it off. And he's 63, soon to be 64. And this writer, Delia Owens, who wrote Where the Crawdads Sing, she's 71.
Wow.
So she wrote her very first fiction book at the age of 69. So it's never ever too late.
There we go. I have to dust off the old typewriter, I guess.
Yeah, I don't plan on starting my book till I'm 80.
Yeah, I want to read the Walt Chronicles.
There we go. There we go. Well, I will say, as far as books go, I've got my YouTube page paused right now on our first little thumbnail with your picture to the left and your book to the right. And the way it's paused, our little bug for the channel, the Iron Realm Media logo, is there on the cover of your book. Looks pretty awesome there. I guess that's our next phase is Iron Realm Publishing.
Yeah. I will throw in a reference to Iron Realm Media in the sequel.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way of doing that. I think maybe you could be like a radio station or something.
There we go. Hell yeah.
Again, because it has to make some sense, right? So
yeah, I'm gonna prod and pry just a little here, just a little bit, Douglas.
You're listening to WIRM.
Now
Worm
we know there's a land. We know there's a land out there that they went to. If you read the first book, yeah, I'm spoiling it. I'm sorry. But...
Oh, this I was trying to get back to my mute button. Go stay. Spoiler. Turn away now. You have to warn people.
Can we get a name?
Wait, do you want a cameo in Antarctica or? Because I just felt like the name Iron Realm Media. It's like how do I fit it into the story? And I just felt it could be the name of like a wacky radio show or something that they listen to.
Right? Yes,
I
sir.
don't know.
Awesome.
Maybe.
Well, good writers are creative that way. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I think it's important that it's in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I promised Paul as well, but it's much easier with him. I'll just name some throwaway
Somebody,
character.
Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your dad must be extremely proud of your accomplishments at such a young age. Then does he
Yeah.
ever show any bitterness towards how
No.
say what you did was easy, but you accomplished it at such a young age?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's definitely proud, and I think he's a little bit bitter that he never finished his manuscript. He was working on something for a long time, but he never.
So not bitterness towards you, more bitterness.
No, precisely. The thing with me with this, I knew precisely where I wanted to take the story, so I never had any writer's block, and I just thought that I could turn this into a pretty cool story. But it's so hard. I mean, I can't. I mean, I don't know. I'm really hoping that he will find the spark to write something.
So, do your stories come to you in your dreams, or what inspires you in your stories, or where does the creativity, how do you feel it comes to you? Do you see it visually? Do you feel it, or is that that you take on where
Most
you're writing?
Mostly imagination, but definitely a little bit of the dreams that I've had. And I'll tell you what, there's a dream that I had when I was sick with this thing that was so frigging crazy it was so scary. It was so scary. Have you seen the movie The Shawshank Redemption?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Do you remember the ending?
No.
Okay, well, the main character crawls out of a pipe from the prison. Do you remember that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a sewer pipe. So when
Not
I
very
had
big
my
suit.
my worst Corona night, I had a long dream where I was stuck in a pipe like that, and I cannot describe how much it scared me, because like claustrophobia is one of the, I mean, you'll probably agree with this, it's one of the most scariest thoughts ever, to be suffocated in a tight, confined environment.
Yeah, claustrophobia and vertigo, that feeling of everything like just pulling you. That's the other feeling that gets to me in my dreams, that sometimes I'll get, again, those feelings inside and outside of the dreams. They're disturbing.
Yeah.
That's kind of the scary side of DMT.
Have you taken DMT?
Yes,
Oh wow.
2 different occasions. And the first time, it wasn't. Excuse me. It was made by somebody that I know. First time making it. The second time was from a chemist who had done it, and I like went off into another world. It was weird. I definitely would like to try it again. I still don't think I don't want to right now. I don't know. But yeah, the whole closing in on you and everything, that feeling you get when you're sick, you kind of feel that a little bit when you start losing control. If that makes any sense. When you're on DMT, you kind of leave this reality somewhat. You don't even realize your body's there anymore and what's going on around you, and you fight it. At least I did. It was weird. I was like, no, wait, this isn't. I was trying to stay in reality, and then stuff started repeating itself on me, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go wherever this is gonna take me. But yeah, everything was like closing in on you, and it was.
What do you think?
You said that, I realized I had that feeling before when I was sick.
Yeah. What do you think is scarier, like heights or confined spaces? For me, it's definitely being trapped, being caged. And that's why I think I dreamt that dream when I had the fever, because it is what scares me the most, to be trapped in some box or whatever.
Yeah, I'm more of a heights guy. I don't like heights.
Hmm.
It's just when I get up there, my brain says, hey, if you fall, you're gonna die. Okay. So I get
don't know.
super cautious.
All I can figure is I must have had past life experiences that dealt with titans, because I have this thing where I don't like big objects. A big statue, a big, huge structure, a big, like, I was at a museum and they had the big whale suspended above it. And I was just freaking out over that bigness. I don't know. Big things freak me out.
Weird. No, I guess I get that.
So you mustn't like New York or something where there are skyscrapers
See,
everywhere.
buildings, not so much. It's not really buildings. Buildings don't bug me. It's just something else about, like I said, statues or big representations of things. And then in Louisiana, there's this bridge between New Orleans and a little place called Des Allemands, and it's like this big, weird suspension bridge with these big black pylons that hold it up, and those pylons really freak me out. It's very specific, big things. I don't know. It's weird. That's why it's so weird.
Yeah, if there's a railing, I don't like being near it if I'm high up.
Yeah, heights not so much. I guess.
I
Not
could do
really.
2-story roofing up on 2 stories. I'm okay if it's grass. If it's concrete, I get kind of weirded out.
And then, spiders, that goes without saying. They're little demons that have to be destroyed with fire.
See, those don't bother me. Bugs and stuff don't bother me at all.
No, bugs are fine, but spiders aren't bugs. Spiders are,
Wow,
like I said,
okay.
little portals from hell that need to be
Spiders
squished
don't
and
really
burned
bother me
and-
too bad.
I'm still
I
going
wouldn't want a
to-
big tarantula just crawling up me or anything. I'd flip out, I'm sure. But if I see a little one on me, I don't shake it and get all crazy like I used to.
How do you feel about wasps? Do you have big wasps in Colorado or New Orleans?
I mean, we have hospitals, they'll get on you and they'll sting you. To me, wasps are very aggressive. They're like little flying assholes. They just look for a fight. Bees,
Yeah, that
though,
one
bees are different.
stung me in your backyard.
Right, there you go. Zach can tell you. They're just aggressive around Louisiana. It's like, I guess it's so hot, they're just pissed all the time. They're looking for a fight.
Yeah, I didn't swat at them or
No,
nothing.
you
I
can
was
just walk by and they'll
looking.
go like,
Yeah.
"Oh, really?" And suddenly you're stung in the middle of your back. It's like, you asshole! I wasn't doing anything to you. So yeah, wasps.
Isn't it funny how some memories can linger for so long? So for let me think here, 22 years, when I was 6 years old, we went to the beach with the class, and they gave us ham sandwiches, and in one of those ham sandwiches, a big wasp had,
Damn.
Yeah, you get the drill here. So I took a bite, and the wasp was in my mouth, and that wasp stung me everywhere, and finally it stung me on the tongue, and yeah, and that experience, that was one day of my life, but it affected me so badly that even now, more than 20 years later, I freak out when I see a wasp, especially when I have dinner outside. It's just, it's there, okay? It was so freaky.
Yeah, and they're amazing fighters too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they are until they encounter a little what was that thing I watched?
Was it
fight
the ant?
before? Some kind of bug tore one up one time I was watching. Of course, conversely, I also watched one destroy a spider. So they do have some positive aspects. It was like watching a nature documentary in Texas one time. There was this thing running across the ground. I literally thought it was a squirrel from the distance, and we realized it was a spider. And my dad was like, "Oh,
Oh,
it was huge. It was huge." And they're like, get a jar, get a jar." I'm like, "Get a hammer, get a jar. You're crazy." And then my dad was like, "Wait, watch." And this little wasp kept flying down at it and striking it, and flying down at it, and it would rear up on his rear legs like something in a movie and like rear at it. And I'm like, "What am I watching?" And about the 15th or 16th strike, that wasp got that spider over on its back and just started pumping into its abdomen with its stinger, and it finally stopped. The spider curled up into a little ball. I mean, this spider was about probably 20 times the size of this little guinea wasp.
Mm-hmm.
And it started dragging that spider for about 150 feet. We watched it for most of the afternoon over to this table, and it picked it up onto the leg and started dragging it up the leg of this table to take it to its nest, where my dad said it would then inject its babies into the spider, or their larvae or whatever, and they would eat their way out when they were born. And I'm like, what? This is nuts. It was the most crazy thing I ever watched in my life.
Yeah,
kind
Zulu
of
was
like
saying that bumblebees will chase them away. If you have
Oh yeah,
bumblebees,
I love bees. That's my boys. I'm tight with bees. We get along really well. They can land on me and we chill. They don't sting.
I've been looking into beekeeping. It is so interesting. Like back in the day, if a family member died, you had to go tell the bees.
Yeah, that's true. That is
If
true.
somebody was
Yes, you
born,
did.
you had to go introduce them and show them to
Yes,
the
you
bees.
did. Yes, that's amazingly awesome.
And it was like this symbiote. I mean, we were so in tune with nature at one time, and all of this has just been flushed away. Have you ever heard anything like that, Douglas?
About what?
People like that keep bees, they actually, like when they have a new child born in the family, they will go present it before the bees. Or
No,
if a family member dies, they'll go and tell the bees that the family member had died and this and that. Yeah, they treat them like part of the family.
I think I've heard about, like, it's like a superstition, right? But it has to be very uncommon because I don't know anyone who does that sort of thing.
No, you don't hear about it being done anymore. This was done way back. You
Okay.
know, whatever history says. Oh, there's a
little
protest
protest going
on.
on.
People driving by, you hear it?
Oh well, yeah, we hear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just keep it in the city, folks.
And
Uncles.
these are people protesting the lockdowns, or
Probably the police at this point, or this is probably tied into the police brutality protests going on.
oh right, yeah, right, because Denver wasn't locked down.
Yeah, still going. Wow, and we're in a residential neighborhood. I mean, you have to go like a mile and a half
Oh
to
no,
get to
this
a
is
store.
a class of 2020.
Oh, I'm
I
not seeing the
was,
front. Never mind. It's graduating seniors.
I
Never
was
Yep.
mind.
about to try to find the mute to say, yeah, just a couple days ago, the local little kids here were driving around honking and stuff for school stuff. It might be the same thing. So there you go.
There you have it. We've had before what we've had on the people driving, and it's been more like 6 cars or 7 cars, not the huge thing going on. But we had people protesting rents and saying how they wanted rents canceled, and so they had a group of people saying we want all rents canceled for the next 3 months. So, well, you can always ask.
Why not?
Why not?
I want free Ferraris for everybody for the next 3 months. And free
Wow.
rent. Why not?
This is still going crazy. So I wanted to tell you, Douglas, and some of the other people that also aren't experiencing things like on melting in that feeling of vertigo or that feeling of claustrophobia or that on a experience So the last time I had that happening, and I had a weird experience where I felt like I was dissolving, and it was unsettling. In the dream where you dissolve and come apart and phase apart, and got that same type of vertigo feeling. And then I got almost like the silent lucidity lyrics in my head saying,
That's
"Your
awesome.
dreams alive. You can be the guide." And it's like, whoa, oh, I can put me back together. And so I was able to put myself back together and do it the way I wanted. I thought that was very interesting. That in the panic, you don't realize always that, hey, you can shift it. And I know I did that one time.
Oh wow.
So on the vertigo, or that again, remember your dreams alive. You can guide it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hank was not a fan of that at all.
of the little happy class of 2020.
Yeah, he was looking at me like, dude, what the fuck is going on? He's like, do I bark? What do I? This is weird. Yeah, he's better now though. They stopped.
Today has been too much. Our next door neighbors had their air conditioning unit worked on right outside the other side of the fence, and they've had to be patient. It's been a very, very hard day to be a dog with people working with compressors and things right on the other side. This protest was probably the last straw. And Dogland was like, hey,
The dog is Minion, right?
we have Minion and Hank.
Minion and Hank. Okay. Yeah, they're probably like North Carolina more than Denver, or am I completely wrong here?
I think they will, though. They don't have a bad life in Denver. They have a big backyard. They have a puppy door that they run in and out of. They have a pretty plush puppy life. They have the next door neighbor's dog that they manages to get through the fence sometimes and come over and play. And so they've had socialization even during social distancing. They said fuck that. So I don't know. They're pretty happy. I think they're just happy dogs. They bring happiness around them. So I think they'll be happy and bring happy wherever they go.
Okay, cool. I've never made it like a huge move like this from the middle of a country to like a coast. Do you like? Are you planning on flying everything out there, or is it a car trip?
It's a car trip and it's a truck trip with stuff. So a trucking. I haven't either. We've been in this house again, the same house that we're in. We've been in since 2002,
Okay.
and yeah, this is definitely it's a huge, huge change of life for us. So haven't done it either. I'll let you know how it goes when we get there.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah. Yeah. I understand perfectly. I grew up in the city in Stockholm for 19 years, and when I moved, it was like, yeah, it's so hard to describe when you've lived for so long at a place and then just leave it. It's indescribable, really.
Little bit even more so here. We did my family is from Denver, and even though a little bit as a child in the 60s and earliest to 70s, I lived in Illinois just as a little girl. But my family moved back to Denver, where I have over 100 cousins and quite the family extension. But it's changed quite a bit from the early 70s. Coming back, and Denver was not. I mean, we were out in the country in what was the country horse fields and everything, which is now in the middle of the Denver Tech Center and office buildings and things like that. The area I grew up in, it's changed. It's become a big city on me, and with the big city traffic, the big city rudeness, all the things that come with a big city. But yeah, it grew up a lot. It's not the same place as my childhood. I think everybody can experience that a little bit in different areas and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Denver
Yeah, the
more so
first
than.
step will be the hardest, and then
Mhm.
it'll get easier. The further away you get, closer you get to Karen land.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
like it. We're going from a place that's semi-arid and like we were laughing about Denver, just because our joke is just because Kentucky bluegrass can tolerate the
But
cold
space is
doesn't mean it
hard.
should. So yeah, I'm leaving an area that you have to, in order to have a lawn, you have to water it every other day, and do the things to more of a rural, rough, natural type of environment. I think I'll be much happier.
Yeah, everything will just be green because it is.
As it rained.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
No, Denver. I mean, if you like your outside and your outdoors and stuff like that, it doesn't rain here very, very much, very often. There's been maybe 2 good rains, but I haven't seen like an Indiana hard rain. When when Cammy tells me, "Oh, it's raining hard right now," it's like, yeah, it's raining hard, but I've seen way harder.
Yeah, it's not doing those, and it's a different type of. Denver is great, especially with the younger. There's a lot of things to do. There's skiing, there's hiking, there's a lot of bike trails. It's a very, very good energetic city in that way. But on the flip side, again, you have the traffic and things, and again, everything has a plus and minus with it. With that, and all the days of sunshine, again, you don't have the growing season, and you don't again that you can't grow the trees and the things that you can grow in areas that are a little bit lower at altitude and a little bit warmer and don't get quite the hard freezes. We can get easily snows into late May, hard freezes, and right at the beginning of September, we some years only have 3 months of growing season, and I'm looking forward to a place with a longer one, and again where things are green because it rains, not because you watered them.
Yeah, it'll definitely. They're already looking at trees. Ooh, I like these fruits. I like these berries.
Appa trees are native to North and South Carolina, as are mimosas. Avocado trees like South Carolina, definitely the more southern section, they don't do so well in North Carolina. But yeah, I'm looking at all these things that are here, impossible or indoor plants. So
Gotta watch out for your pawpaws catching that carina, though.
I know the Rona, and mulberries have mulberry bushes.
Well,
Yeah.
the best of luck to you. Yeah, it's going to be a huge shift, I'm sure. But
That it will be.
maybe the roads will be empty though, right? Now with the Corona scare.
Hot
I
and
know
cold on
around
there.
here it's been picking up, but it could be different state to state, county. It just really depends.
Missouri traffic is pretty much back to normal.
Yeah, we have major interstates that.
Yeah. Okay. So I talked to Paul on the plane just not yesterday, 2 days ago, and he drove from Seattle to Florida, and that took him 6 weeks. So maybe it is back to normal, because that sounds like a really long time to me.
Oh, it shouldn't take 6 weeks. He stopped a lot of places along the way, no matter what the conditions.
Yeah, that's a leisurely trip there.
Yeah, you can cross it in no time. Well, not no time, a few days.
I can't imagine that from on the mainland it taking longer than 4 days from any point on the mainland to another point driving if you took shifts and things like that. I mean, that could be a long drive, not getting breaks.
I got to your guys' house in pretty much 2 days, and that was just driving.
Right.
1 8-hour day maybe, and then no, actually I did a little bit longer that first day. It just kept getting more beautiful.
Maybe the longest ride could be like from San Diego to like Maine or something.
Mm-hmm. Or Washington down to Florida, yeah. Something like that.
I know as far as roads, one of the things I like better in the Southeast compared to the wide open West here is we have wider roads here, but with a lot more lanes, where they have a lot more roads. In other words, we have a lot of neighborhood roads, but you just have a couple through traffic ones interspersed on there. And so even through neighborhoods, normal to have 4 across or 6 across lanes, attached next to neighborhoods. That's sometimes 8 lanes. In the south, they have more roads that are just 1 lane in each direction, attaching things, and so it's a whole different feel of driving experience. Um, for somebody that gets like weird vision and weird depth perception with with my eyes, I know that it's easier for me to drive on a much simpler, a bunch of sides, small roads as opposed to the way they do it out here. You guys notice that driving? Their
Who's
roads.
who's outside right now? I can hear the wind blowing.
That would be me. That would be me. I'll shut the mic off. But I don't know if anybody else has noticed it. The first time I was in South Carolina, North Carolina, I was looking at it saying, these aren't even roads. These are motorcycle lanes. They're so much narrower.
Yeah, that's
here.
what I'm used to. That's northern Indiana country roads right there. You got 2 lanes, and that's pretty much it. If someone pulls to the side, somebody's coming the other way, you have to wait. There's no way you're getting through.
Yep, that's how I learned to drive. Curves, blind curves and hills and 55 miles an
Missouri
hour.
is crazy. Missouri is just insane. It is. It's up and down and curve and up and down and up and down. And yeah, all 2 lanes.
Yep, and in Denver, it's kind of more like when you get off the exit, you need to be in the left hand, one of the 2 middle lanes, or the right hand lane in order to make your off,
Yeah.
A little bit different, yeah. And Denver, I don't know about other cities, but Denver, we play the game on ramps being on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, going north or south, and mix and matching them with no rhyme or reason whatsoever. So you're in the street. Oh, we're on I left. Do we get on the highway to the right or the left? This one's to the right, I think, because Yale's to the left. It's when it's retarded. You know that a man designed this. Oh, come on, you guys. No reaction on that. Come on. Douglas?
It's probably true. It's probably true.
Well, you started a new channel, Douglas.
Yeah. I just started a new channel. And
is it just your name, Douglas Falk?
Yeah, precisely. And it's it's a lot more fun than I thought. I mean, like when you record a video and it's not live, all the pressure is off, right? So now this is live and all, so it's always going to be a little bit, at least for me, a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for?
Some jitters.
Yeah, you know the drill. But now with a offline video, you can just edit it and keep them.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter if you mess up. Mm-hmm.
And a recommendation that I got was to exploit my dog as much as possible. So I will do that. So
people love dogs.
Oh yeah.
You could make a YouTube channel and probably there's people that do it and they live off of the revenue.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Videos of just their dog. It's dogs, cats.
Most of them, for some reason, are Koreans. At least with my breed, Samieds. There are some Koreans that have like millions and millions of views with them just eating, I don't know, vegetables and stuff.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say with them just eating their dogs.
No, that's terrible.
What's your dog's name, Douglas?
Yes. The name, Sasha.
Sasha.
Yeah, it's a Russian dog, so we wanted to give her a Russian name.
She's gorgeous. I've got a picture of her up on the screen.
She is
the one of you with her in your lap.
Yeah, one friend of mine actually thought that it was a sheep. Why are you cradling a sheep for? That's funny.
Oh, I'm not even going there.
I can almost see it. It's except for the panting in the ears. I can see maybe from a distance. With a small little picture, it might look like a sheep somehow.
No, I'll tell you what. If they did pull some draconian measures here, and I had to stay at home all day, I mean, she would bite my feet off because she she's not afraid in the slightest of showing her, malcontent when things aren't good. And in her way, that is when she doesn't get enough exercise. So yeah, that would be hell on earth if I lived in a lockdown location. Yeah, she needs like 3 hours or 2 hours at the very least per day to roam free.
Yeah, the Americans didn't do the lockdown to the pets the way that they did over the pond. They didn't try anywhere in America to say you couldn't walk your dogs. It wasn't even attempted here. Smart.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember that Josh said this to someone. Josh, I remember you talked to a UK person. I can't remember who it was, but you made a very decent point that, in the sense that they are so crowded there in such a small area, so it's rather easy to police them. In the US, I mean, every state is so huge. Well, pretty much every state. So you can pretty much, it's impossible to police people from taking walks or, sitting on park benches or harassing 65-year-olds who just take a walk in the forest. You get what I'm saying?
I
Oh,
do.
yeah.
It puts a big a big to do on that. Me and Zach over did this. I'm going to let him back on. We're both in the same area.
Yeah. Oh, Josh, it was with Adam Meekin. By the way, where is Adam and John Savage?
You never can keep track on those two. It's got to be maybe the time zones. I don't know.
They don't look cute at all, Douglas. They didn't want to show up if you're on the show.
They said Douglas. Bollocks to that.
Totally just kidding.
Yeah,
I
no.
know. Did you see that John Savage actually left a review of my book? I was actually surprised that he would do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
they didn't ask his information.
Yeah, he said, I'll do Goodreads, but not Amazon because I don't trust them. So. Yeah, he doesn't trust the Jeff Bezos empire. And probably forgot. Oh, did you see that the New York Post, I mean, I don't know if they're credible or not, but whatever. They are projecting that Jeff Bezos will be the first trillionaire in the world by 2026.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine
That's so
living in a
gross. How
world-
sad is that? How absolutely sad and disgusting.
That word trillionaire doesn't even exist in my phone autocorrect. I wrote the word trillionaire to my friend and it didn't even correct the word, so it didn't exist. But yeah, it's apparently we're gonna live in a world with a trillionaire. That's interesting.
He should be socially shunned. In China, he should have the lowest social credit score. The higher income you have, the more you're worth financially, the less you are worth to society. Why can't that be an effing thing?
I'm guessing he would probably have the highest credit score, right? Because he's.
He is the creditor.
Because he owns us,
He owns the bank that he would be borrowing money from.
Yeah, imagine if that projection actually comes to pass. It would mean that he would wield a might that is like on par with, a country, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than most countries, or more than a lot of them.
Yep.
Yeah, just think about this Corona panic. So what happened is that immediately when this happened, Amazon hired 100,000 drivers for them because of the increased pressure. So, yeah, it seems like whatever is happening in the world, they are on top of it. Whatever is going on, they are on top of it. They are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Non-professional positions. Again, one of the main
It's a
things
totally
people have been
different
saying.
style
Yeah.
of workforce. what he's doing, the way he pays people and the amount of hours and the amount of overtime that is allowed and stuff like that. It's, yeah, they know how to find certain people that, you know, will work lots of hours. So they don't need as many people. And yeah,
As many benefits and things like that. No, it's
Mhm.
the getting rid of the middle class and the upper middle class, and that they say that a lot of people are speculating that a big portion of this is about removing the middle class, making it pretty much elite and workers more so, and the other
Yeah.
one that the one that haunts me is I just see the vaccinations as a way of fertility control and that a slow kill.
Yeah,
Just
and
a happy thought.
we are so dependent on them. At least I am, and I know Mark Devlin is as well. We talked about this, and like we don't like the idea that we are so dependent on just one company, which is essentially like a superpower nowadays. This feels weird. Well,
It's not like a superpower. It really is a superpower.
yeah, that's how it
Well,
works.
you'll know when you're not supposed to sign something, Douglas. You'll get a feeling.
Yeah.
And at that point, it means that you're catching influence and whatnot. And that's when you go on your own and you find Joe Schmo publisher out of his garage if you have to, and you'll still have people buying your books.
I get that feeling
Yeah.
every time I have to give my signature. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this. What liability are you accepting?
Oh, on that track, I can't help but go here. I don't know if you guys saw in the news, but Grimes, Alon's baby's mama, uh, she is actually auctioning off her soul at an art auction. She's actually having people bid on her soul. She's selling her soul. It's a headline. You don't even know what to do with that. Read it. It's true.
Yeah, I can't even comment on that one.
I know. It's like, what do you even do or say when the headline reads, Grimes is selling her soul at auction? So,
What's the minimum bid, I wonder?
she said originally that she was going to sell it for 10 million, because she wanted to be important to whoever bought it and be really something special. But with the coronavirus and the economy and that, she's just going to do it to the highest bidder.
Uh-huh.
And she'll see how much. She's curious to see. It's kind of an experiment to see how much her soul is worth. It's an existential experiment on like the meaning of it and how much it's worth and how much somebody would pay for her soul.
Well, I know a lot of us are anyway in the flat earth community, dog owners. And I know we all walk our dogs and try to keep clean behind them. So I think we could all group bid for her. So.
Oh my.
There we go.
I like this group for a reason.
We could crowdfund it and we could sell it bit by bit. How funny would that be? We could pay $10 million, but how much could we make off selling it bits of her soul?
We could tell people that these little trinkets are Horcruxes of her soul. All the Harry Potter fans would go nuts. If you don't know the stories, then you would know what I'm talking about. But yeah, they're little pieces of your soul that you trap inside little objects.
We could make it.
Man, that's weird.
No, there's a market for that. I'm sure that is weird, and it's wrong. It's just again, you don't know where to go with it. It's so wrong to read that in a headline. The shock value is like what they take away from us, the same as what Douglas was saying earlier with I don't know how long people's attention spans are, that of a goldfish. But again, we can't even watch the news and keep our interest without them, throwing we want banners, we want more. It's and when they do that and they overstimulate us with that much going on, nothing sticks. You have to laugh at the people that are talking about. Do these people not understand that they're talking on camera and on tape, and that you can replay it a month later? Because we're so used to people's attention span being gone that a month later you can say something, and again, it's not remembered. It's a weird tangent to take it on. Another weird rant. I'll quit.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that Horcrux comment. Those are those ideas that I don't like
Putting out there.
Yeah. Those are the ones I usually just keep to myself, and then that one just kind of blurted out.
No, it's a cool idea. I agree with you.
Yeah, but it's so wicked and evil, and I just put it out there in the universe, and it's going to be picked up by somebody, and they're going to do it.
Well, look, if I were interested in hoarding life credits, I could
would
just do it
definitely.
and pretend that we had a piece of her soul. We could
I would
pretend it.
definitely put one part of my soul in my dog. For sure.
Doesn't work like that though. Your soul is what you are real. Your body is just the avatar. You don't get to break it up into pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Harry Potter thing. I don't know. That's weird. I've never looked into that aspect of the whole splitting of the soul to try to be immortal that way. It's kind of what they're doing with the whole
Yeah, that's
transhumanism thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing with transhumanism.
Wow. That
Click,
movie, those
light bulb.
movies, yeah, there's so much. It's so like real life when you look at it through the eyes of a conspiracy theorist. It's crazy. It was like made for, people like us to decipher and figure out, because they're saying it all right there. They're like, maybe not so much their master plan, they tell us that anyway, but like how their society, their side of things are run, and how our world means nothing, is like so insignificant. Even the rulers of our world have no real power. All these things that we know are true, and it's crazy when you start connecting all the dots.
Didn't she give away like all of her fortune?
You mean Rolling?
Yeah.
I know this. I'm pretty much up to speed. Okay, she has given away fortunes. Okay, she was once at one point she was one of the wealthiest people in the UK, but because of her donations to charities, she lost that position. But I mean, she's still super wealthy. But yeah, she has donated. I don't know the exact amount, but it's loads.
Oh yeah, she was living in her car when she wrote the first one, correct?
I think so. But the thing is, when you get to that echelon of fame and popularity, and you get so much money, the pressure that she's gotten, I mean, it escalates, sort of like, oh, you need to donate all of this money, or if you don't, you're a bad person, right? So uh, I don't know how I would react if I were in her shoes, but I think that I would probably donate to something. I think so. Because who needs that much money, really?
Mm-hmm.
Then you run into no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Karma running both ways on that. You just have to do it clean. You have to make good choices.
Walt, what do you think? You've been silent for a while.
He's probably been talking up a storm. He's just been on mute.
No, I'm here. I'm just kind of listening in, paying attention to the chat a little more than I should probably. I definitely, I mean, oh man, it definitely, to me, it's always been something as far as our soul, I guess, that we drive this avatar from way somewhere else. And that was even before any of this, last 5, 6 years of really opening my eyes to what it could mean. Yeah, that's a big can of worms. That's a big one. But definitely, there's been experiences where I definitely felt that, yeah, this thing that we call a body or at best is a vessel, and they are doing everything they can to figure out how to mess it up for us.
Mess it up for us, or try to keep some of us as a promise permanently connected. And again, you weren't here on it, but I did a quote from somebody that did a good story talking about how in the past, the greatest minds always contemplated the meaning of life, and right now we've like distracted them with the how do you live longer instead of what's the meaning of life in the first place. Now it's all about how to defeat life.
Right, exactly. Instead of why am I here, it's like, well, how can I stay here longer? Well, what are you trying to stay here longer for? Is there some reason that you're here?
Exactly. If you don't know the answer to number one, you can't.
Yeah.
Number two is
Number
kind
two
of
is
uh-huh.
stupid. Yeah. I'm more and more. I have the feeling that I don't know why. I just have this feeling inside that we could live a lot longer than we do, but
If we
because we
chose to.
believe we're going to get older and this and that we die at a faster rate, simply because that's what we make. If we believe it and we know this to be, because we were told this at a very young age, that around this age you're going to start getting old, and then when you get around here, sometime in between here, you're going to die for sure. You can't live past 120. I'll tell you.
What if it's even not that so much as is just again the at times where life gets so hard that you sit there and pray like, this is so hard, I don't want to do this anymore. I think I imagine everybody has gotten, to that point where you're just down in tears and saying, I can't do this anymore. And sometimes you have those periods, I think, that you could be, again, attracting some of what you're bringing in. And along with the belief that it only lasts this long.
Mm.
Yeah, Zach, you mentioned an interesting point there. Do you think people will ever live past 120? Because I've been obsessed with this for a while. So I know that the oldest person ever is a French woman who lived to be, I think, 123. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I think we could live a lot longer than that, really. Um, Actually, Pearl Jam turned me onto this on their Vitology album. They had this weird little booklet, and it was written from like the 1800s, talking about how they knew of a time when man lived to be over 200 years old, like as an average, and this and that. I don't know. I mean, it was just in a book, but it was like a scientific book. I believe it was not their second album, it was the Vitology album, their third album.
Sounds almost biblical to
Yeah.
me.
Being raised like I was, my grandfather being a preacher, and I literally was raised in the church, I heard that story many times of how at one point we did live at, to a certain age, way old, like Methuselah ages. And after the flood, it was said that our age would be limited to 120 years because we were such bad little humans. So from that point on, we'd be punished by only having an age of 120 years. That was the decree from on high, from the Lord Himself. Now, if you want to take all that to be like whatever, that's cool. I mean, I know there's lots of biblical history historical record in the Bible, but I also know there's also a lot of propaganda and control mechanisms instilled in that very same document. So, if you plan on debilitating a society with horrible food, horrible air, horrible water, remove their idea of living off the land and with the land and part of nature and just completely obliterate that and make them start congregating into these little cesspools of poisons and chemicals and waste called cities, and then eventually, yeah, you'll wind that down to about 120 years if you're lucky, or if we can really do our job well, 50, 60 tops.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is is what they're telling us about how long we can live true? The only reason I believe that at all is because they told me that. And now that you start learning about, how powerful we are, just by believing something so much, things happen. And what if this is just another one of those things that they hid from us? We have the ability to live a lot longer, but because we know that we're going to die within this certain age, then we do. We know we're going to start getting decrepit and, our skin will wrinkle and all these things that we know are going to happen. What if you didn't know it? I don't know. I know that guy that lived like Tarzan with his dad out in the jungle, supposedly in Vietnam. Since the Vietnam War, they found him a few years ago. He was 41 and he looked like he was, early 20s, except for his teeth, of course. I don't know. Make you wonder. They lie about everything. Everything. Yeah, I'm just going to keep on thinking that I'm going to die when I'm ready. And I'm not going to look that much older. I don't plan on it. I would like all white hair. I think that'd be cool. Big long white beard one day. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we have to die before 120. I'm not going to say I believe it, that that's the limit. Nope, not because they told me. I don't buy shit that they tell me anymore. Hashtag test it. Okay, my rant's over. Sorry about that.
I love a good Zach rant.
So what about you, Doug? What's your take on all this? What's your idea? You said you were kind of into the idea of trying to live longer. Do you supplement? Do you go out of your way to really eat right and live healthy? Or do you just trust that it'll happen if it's supposed to happen? Or
Not. I haven't concluded anything. I've just been obsessed with looking into the the people who has lived the longest, like what's their secret. That sort of thing intrigues me. um but I no I'm as clueless as the rest of you. But don't they say though, I can't remember where I've gotten this from, but don't they say that potentially our brains they could withstand for at least 200, 250 years if our bodies could match up for it, because all of our brains could last for at least 200 years. Do you
Yeah, I don't
remember
think.
this? Okay.
No, I haven't heard that anywhere, but I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I can't remember where I read it, but it was a credible source from what I could recall. And they said the crux was that, okay, it's never going to happen because your body will, decompose way before that, or you will, encounter some illness or something. But on its own, the brain is capable of 200 years plus, maybe even 300. Could be nonsense, but I think I read that from a rather credible paper. I think.
Yeah, I'll take Josh's people on that. Show me the 300, 250-year-old brain.
Yeah, Josh, show us.
Not that we have them, just that we are from Missouri, and we are the show me state. So, the Tedists at heart.
my brain feels 200 or 300 years old. Does that count?
It does, just not for very much.
So what are you going to be doing on your YouTube channel, Douglas? What's going to be like the main topics? Are you going to be discussing other books? Are you going to be covering your journey as a writer? Have you decided yet? I know it's all kind of fresh and new.
Yeah, I think I will, for the most part, discuss. It will be like a journal, kind of like Matt Damon in The Martian. Sort of like how it's like how I come up with my ideas, why I do what I do. Yeah, that's about it. I've only made 2 videos so far, so I'm
Will
very
there
much
be any spoilers for fans that are watching these videos? Maybe
maybe
hints?
maybe
Okay, nice. Nice. That's a good answer.
maybe I'm still getting the hang of this. My first video has like 300 views, and I'm very pleased with that. I didn't think so many people would watch my boring video, but there you go.
Yeah, I
It
think
is really good.
after geez, it took forever for me to get a video with 30, 35 views on it.
Well, Douglas, you
Yeah,
only got 31 subscribers.
yeah, but I have a few followers on Twitter, so yeah, I'm about as active as Walt. Hey, Walt, you're pretty active on Twitter, right?
Not as much as I used to be. Really, truly, I used to really pump it hard, but I mean, I still do. You see me there, so yeah, I'm there. What you got?
Yeah, I've become a huge Twitter person.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and you get subscribers really
I
quickly.
can, definitely can.
So yeah, I'm still working things out really.
I mean, we've been at this a long time, and at this point, we should probably have a lot more subs and stuff than we do. But we learned early on that unless you're willing to dish out the bucks to pay for all their little special pumps into their system and their search engine optimization and all that, you got to hit it. You just got to hit that right combination and timing, and it'll all fall together. But otherwise, it's a lot of game to be played with all the social media platforms. That's why I didn't even play with Facebook or what's the other one, Instagram or any of that. It just felt like that on Twitter I could find people like all the guys and girls that I've met here in Iron Realm. So
I think it's all Savage's fault because he just goes missing when he pleases. So.
absolutely, he gets very active for a period and then he's gone. He's dust in the wind for a while. Yep.
He's not putting in the work, is he?
I think just like the rest of us, he's kind of been at this for a long time too. This isn't his first awakening, as we all have had many. And so, after you ride that wave for a while, it's kind of like, okay, let's take a rest, get back, settle down, get the family life a little more normalized, and then I'm sure he'll come roaring back any minute now, as we all do.
Well, I'd like to ask you, speaking of awakenings, so we've all probably thought and talked about this Corona thing to death, and everyone's tired of it. But does my account change any of your views? Because I listen to a lot of Jaron stuff, and he talks to Jason Lindgren and all those folks, and I respect their opinions, but it seems like they are very much on board the train that this is all a hoax, and having experienced it, I just can't sign up to that at all. So I just hope that my account here will, I don't know, share some light on it or whatever.
It's definitely given me pause and thought about this in a different little perspective, truly. That being said, I've really approached pretty much every flu season and every potential end of the days thing. I mean, I grew up in an area of Mississippi, and there was this whole terror campaign in the mid '70s with encephalitis. If you were outside playing and a mosquito bit you, your head was going to swell up like a watermelon and you were going to die. And so to stop that, they started having these trucks going around through all the neighborhoods spraying who knows what into the air. And of course, kids, let's follow it in our bikes. And so, yeah, lots of, I've gone through a lot of fear programs since that one. And it was, either it was some kind of flu, some kind of N1H1, R2D2, whatever crap they want to call it, bird flu, swine flu, this flu, that flu. SARS,
Don't forget the
I'm headed that way, Fred. I mean, now that again being said, I've seen the patent for the coronavirus. I've seen the freaking computer geek and his wife, Kevin Klein, and they seem to want to kill us all with their little needles. They really like to stick things in people. I mean, there's a lot of stuff tied into all this that does seem to add to a push, an agenda, a plan that they're really using whatever natural sickness could be rearing its head right now, whatever seasonal outflow of exomes could be occurring during this period, whatever extra amount of those exomes due to the increased amount of electromagnetic radiation that we're all undergoing right now, because they are pumping this 5G shit out at an alarming rate. And as we've seen historically, these huge illnesses worldwide do seem to coincide with vast changes to our electromagnetic field. Fuck, I don't know, man. I'm riding this wave just like the rest of y'all.
Yeah,
Add to it the fact that I've been in a house locked down basically for 4 months now. It's a different perspective for me as well. So
as for the 5G thing, I think I can't remember if I was asked about this. Probably, Mark Devlin. He asked me the same thing. Are there any 5G towers in your neighborhood? And I haven't seen anything whatsoever because, like I said, I live on the countryside.
there we go.
But with a bit of Google search, maybe I could find something. I mean,
How about this? Has lighting in your area changed? Have the street lights gone from those nice, soft, orange glow lights that were supposed to help with criminal activity or whatever that was they used to tell us in the 80s, 70s, and 80s? Have your lights gone from those nice, subtle, orangey colored lights to these bright lights up the whole neighborhood with one little area? Harsh LED looking lights with like a group of bulbs, and it's like a real strange fixture. Have you seen those popping up?
not really.
Well, that's where they're hiding them now in this neighborhood. I've watched them install them, and I've seen a guy taking one apart on a video. Now, I didn't take it apart, but it looks exactly like what he did disassemble and find all kind of little interesting EMF and all kind of little interesting non-light fixture required things that seem to be 5G related. So, just wondering.
Yeah, it looks like in Bodo, Freya, Trondheim, Askvoll, Oslo, Elverum, something with a fell at the end with a K and a V and a T, and then there's some other ones in there. Formabu and Heroya. That's where they have 5G in Norway.
I thought either you were having a stroke or I was.
No, I was trying to pronounce those cities, which I probably did horribly. But unless you live in or very near one of those cities, then you probably won't be seeing any 5G towers right now. Yeah, these are going to get installed into these places over this year. So yeah, usually once the big cities get it, it takes a couple years for stuff to get out to the country, build all that infrastructure. When I moved out to the country, I couldn't get internet, high-speed internet forever. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I know that too. I did the same thing when I moved out into the middle of a pasture, basically. It was like I had the most peaceful time living there with no internet, no TV reception. I wish I could easily do that now. But
Oh,
if you
nice.
disconnect your stuff, it's like everybody around you is walking with a phone in their face. Doug, have you recently gotten any kind of new equipment, like a new phone, new computer, new anything? Just wondering.
No, not at all. Like I said, I've been here with my dad on the countryside for quite a while now. We haven't gotten anything new, from what I can tell.
So, what about chemtrails in your area? Do you guys get a lot of spraying, or is it pretty clear skies most of the time?
Clear skies from it's pretty clear
I
here.
thought I remember you telling us that before, that you guys didn't get a lot of the trails. I don't know. I'm just trying to work it out, trying to see where and when and how.
Where
some
do
of
you,
that's just
Douglas? Where do you think that you would have caught it? You or your dad? What's like? Do you have an instinct of where you may have been
Yeah, he said
exposed?
the supermarket.
Yeah, the supermarket for sure, because there are so many people there, and it just seems like the one and only place. Like I said, we've been living like hermits, so we thought we were like, there's no way this thing's gonna catch us. But you gotta buy some food, right? So you gotta buy food, and that's
That's one of those necessities.
precisely. We don't need any toilet paper, but some things you do need.
Well, there does seem to be something novel about whatever's happening. I think you've experienced it. I think you could attest to the fact that it's not like anything you'd experienced before.
Yeah, precisely. The whole thing about getting shortness of breath. I mean, like I felt for that one day, just one day, I felt like a 90-year-old, and that was pretty scary. Thankfully, it went away really quickly, but for that reason alone, I'm gonna peg this as a novel thing. I'm not gonna say it's anything, and I definitely don't want to fearmonger or anything. I don't have any fear of it whatsoever, but it's something weird. It's something weird.
Well, we're hitting a solar minimum. Yeah, so they say. So I'm just trying to think of something novel, sort of like Walt was doing. Something novel that happened that could affect people on a large scale the way this has been.
Our ULA counts are really high right now. OULA counts. It's the extra radiation that's normally filtered out pretty good by our magnetic shield, but we're getting high doses of like the gamma rays and the radiation rays, and that they're way high. If that helps at all.
It's because of
Don't
the
know.
weak spot, isn't it? It's because of that weak
Yeah,
spot in South
yeah.
America spreading over there to South Africa.
Wow. I
Yeah.
wonder if there's a way we can go back and correlate the sunspot activity to these EMF / flu outbreaks.
I think you can. They have somewhat. And right now, the minimum we're in is an unusual minimum. It's more, in other words, our cycle has been whack. We're out of cycle, and we're at more like the closest thing we've seen is a Maunder minimum, where the action is. It's a little bit more than being at minimum. But yeah, our magnetic or the power levels that they do and everything from it is like the power level at ground, it is an all-time low, and the shields are very, very, think of it as a very weak magnetic shield, so it doesn't take anything to get through it. If we had some of the flares that we've had, in prior years, we're getting a reaction to our field on no flare, or just a corona hole on something that years ago, if you guys, followed the X flares, like an X10 and an X28 and, hitting our magnetic shield. Well, we're getting reactions, KP indexes off of like a B flare that it's kind of like saying on an earthquake level for people that don't nerdily watch this. It would be kind of like saying that that 1.5 earthquake is feeling more like a 5.5 or a 6.
Weird.
So in other words, so much more is getting through that it doesn't take very much to disrupt. So we'll get the auroras and we'll get the things with like almost no activity. It's kind of weird looking at. I've been watching it for over 20 years, and it's not patterning the way that they taught us it was going to pattern with the cycles. In other words, it's out of sequence from the way that supposedly the cycle's every 11 years, the 22-year cycle, positive, negative. Right now, we keep on pulling spots of both the positive and the negative cycles on there. We can't seem to finish the old cycle. So it's not doing it the way, again, just being in my 50s, I've watched it for a number of years. And so I don't know, it's not like I've watched it for hundreds of years, but it's not doing what they say it's been doing for hundreds of years. I shut everybody up on that. Went into nerdy land.
Yeah, mulling it all over for sure.
But
Hey,
yeah,
shout out real quick to Baldini, the great Baldini in chat. He's talking about how the birds were attacking the workers that were installing the 5G in his area. And I've seen a few other videos of birds literally like
Angry birds.
looking like angry birds looking like they were attacking a freaking 5G tower. Now somebody else said, "Oh, they're just flying around trying to pick out stuff for their nests." Oh, okay, that's what birds normally do: tear apart towers to take shit to their nests. Okay, logic person. But yeah,
No, they
I've seen
pick
a
up
few
twigs on
things.
the ground.
I know what birds do. Idiots. I live in the country. So yeah, it's definitely because I would noticed I had a video that I had recorded one night where it was like a crossroads area in downtown Lafayette there, and it's like where we were sitting at the red light, I could hear this noise and open the sunroof, and there were like thousands of birds just swarming around this weird little tower there, and never put it together at that point. So yeah, apparently the birds know.
Yeah, and he
Indeed.
said it was two different types of birds. There was blackbirds, and then
Oh, I didn't see
seagulls
that.
came
Right.
and
Flocks
started
of
going crazy on
crows
them.
and seagulls.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So
There
I
you
doubt
go.
those two birds had nests together up there. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't anything like that going
That's
to
how it works, man. Seagulls and crows are like laying down like the lamb and the wolf. What is it? All right.
That is awesome. Nature fighting back. Yeah, there is no beating nature.
Speaking of birds, can you hear the birds from my window?
We can
We
indeed.
can,
Somebody in
yeah.
chat.
Oh,
told me
cool.
that. Yeah. Who
Loving
was that?
it.
That said
Loving
that
it.
in chat.
Yeah,
Somebody.
it's really early morning.
Nemo.
So
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
with
it's beautiful.
Baldini's birds, I can't help but think of the movie Avatar and the animals joining and fighting back. I like that.
Yep.
Good visual.
Like it. So, Doug, is it gonna only be you journaling on your channel, or are you planning on talking to people, having folks come on and hang out with you, do some kind of hanging out as well?
yeah, some hangouts would be cool. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm only gonna probably do a few videos a month. It's not gonna be like a main thing for. Like the main project for me is going to be to write the new book. So that's where my energy is going to go. So this is not going to be like. I don't know how you guys do it. With you have 2 shows a week on TFR, and you have this thing. So I don't know how you have the energy, but I admire your energy.
We have a big team, and we all support each other. And when some of us are not holding up our end for whatever reason, we have a bunch of love to support us through it. And I think that's the best way we could have ever put this thing together, because it has definitely helped me for damn sure. And
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
it's easy for Savage because he's always.
And it's all yeah. We
he's
can always blame
He's
Savage.
always skipping school. So.
We can always blame Savage.
And coffee.
But yeah, man, any help we could throw your way, let us know. I mean, we can tell you how we've done it the wrong way, and that might get you on the right path. How about that?
Absolutely, I will. But don't. I'm just saying, don't expect videos every day.
See, you're already ahead of the game. Leave them wanting more. That's one of the secrets.
For now, it's just a fun experiment. But yeah, it's all about the next book for me right now. And I'm suffering from a little bit of writer's block. As soon as this worldwide lockdown kicked in, it in a way it sort of affected me. I can't describe it, but you sort of lost a little bit of the motivation for it.
Right. See, you could probably hook into quite an idea just sharing that experience on your show, on your channel with people, because again, I wrote a little bit. I love writers. I love the art of writing. Anybody who's put out a book about writing, like Dance Macabre, that was one of my favorite books King ever did, because it was about writing. And so the art of writing and how it occurs, and the blocks, and the process, and the raging at the walls, and the substance abuse is that can occur, and the madness, and just all of it. It's more. There's more to writing than a lot of people realize if they've never dug into the behind the scenes of it all. So, man, sharing some of that, you might have a little channel blow up. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what time is it there? You said
It's
early.
almost 2:30 a.m.
Oh wow! And the birds are making that much noise?
Yeah, but because we have such extremely short nights, so it's almost in our summertime, it's daylight all the way, almost. It's like 3 hours of night, give or take.
That's almost like Oregon where I'm at. Like at about 11:30 or 12 o'clock, it'll finally get dark in the west. Finally, it's still light up until that point, and it'll stay dark for about 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. And then you see that it's just kind of circled around over there, a little bit over there to the east, and now it's coming up again and right around again and getting bright. And it's like, wow, no wonder people go insane here in Oregon because they don't have darkness. It's never really dark here.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever gone up north and seen the 24-hour midnight sun? Can
Are you
that be
talking to me
done
or
in
Walt?
Norway? Sorry, what?
Are you talking to me or Walt?
You.
No, not really. I mean, we get almost a 24-hour, but not even if you go to the northern part of Sweden. You have to go to, I think you have to go to Svalbard, which is like an island north of Norway. Then you can see the 24-hour sun. But I mean, you can sort of get the full dose of it if you in June, if you're like the furthest up north in Sweden.
Yeah, it never really gets totally dark. The sun goes below the horizon, but it's still kind of light out.
Yeah, but the thing that's probably the most curious thing is the northern lights. You know all about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the main tourist attraction in Sweden, is to go to the northern part and just watch the northern lights, because I've never seen them myself because I'm too far south. But it is quite the spectacle to behold.
I've seen them in Manitoba, Canada,
Oh wow!
and they are definitely a sight to behold.
I saw them in Indiana actually, one time. They were bright enough, and I was out there, and yeah, I was out in the middle of nowhere in the country. And I stopped my truck. I was like, what the hell is that? I thought it was the lights reflecting weird some way. I'm sitting there looking at my dashboard, seeing if
Wait,
something's...
you saw northern lights from Indiana?
Yep. One time they were strong enough, and I was out. I mean, I've heard of it. Well, when I was living in the city in Indiana, that it was possible to see them, but you had to be in a dark area. There couldn't be any light pollution.
Okay, because I just feel like I mean, I believe you, but that's pretty crazy, because where I'm right now, I am at the same latitude as middle Canada. So
Mhm.
well,
They get the northern lights down as far as like the southern islands, and that KP index is 7, which I'm talking about, that we're hitting 4s and 5s right now with no activity. But one of 7 and for sure of 8 puts it down in Indiana and in Colorado, for that matter. It happens. It happens.
Yeah, like I said, 40 years I lived there, and one time I saw it.
Yeah, it happens, I think,
Not
in a
a
normal
normal thing.
solar cycle, which is like an 11-year cycle. I think that happens like 9 to 11 times throughout the whole cycle. And again, a lot of the times it's where you have to be in a dark area to pick it up, where you might not pick it up in the city and that. But yeah, they'll go down south with the high KP index.
oh wow.
I've been watching the aurora lately. What we're told, where we're told it is from NASA and all that. And if it goes around the North Pole, which you would think it would, that's where the circle would be. And you brought this up, Cammy, which made me start looking at it. It's still, the North Pole is still over northern Canada somewhere.
It's over the where it lines up with because I've taken stupid rulers on my computer monitor and I've zoomed it in. It centers over Thule Air Force Base in Greenland. It just centers right up, just barely onto Greenland, on the tip there. So the auroras again, if you look at the inside of the circle, you would think they'd be over the magnetic pole, the geographic pole, one of their poles. They've got how many poles labeled, but no, it circles over the whole Greenland. Um, Look at spaceweather.com and start watching it every day. It's amazing what happens when you just look at things, how they don't add up. And I don't know, is it Thule or Thule? Thule.
I'm not sure, but it would be so cool to visit Greenland someday or Svalbard. Do you guys remember the video? It's a pretty old video where Jaron, he's obsessed with Svalbard for video, so he calls into like a hotel there, and he asks them about the 24-hour sun.
I do remember that. And for us that been looking at the maps, Svalbard is on a lot of the old maps and that. So where I wasn't familiar with it before, I am through Flat Earth. Very familiar. It's on all the old maps.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny because they were like, "Are you gonna book a room?" And no. He was like, "No, okay, bye. It's 24-hour sun." That's all he wanted.
Now that is part of Norway, right?
Yeah, it belongs to Norway, and Greenland belongs to Denmark, which apparently Trump wants to buy. Or
He
something.
wants to leave his mark. I could see that as being a peacock move right there.
Yeah, I mean, Greenland is an interesting property for sure. It's a huge swath of land, so why not?
It holds a lot of mysteries and it holds a lot of, again, right in that spot where things intercept as far as looking at the auroras. It holds an Air Force base, which is now a Space Force base.
Yeah, if the military's there, there's, I don't know, got to be significant in some way.
And I don't know if I told you, Zach, but Zach and I are in the same room. I don't know if I told you, Zach, but they did on the Thule or Thule page, they changed it from Air Force to Space Force. It's official.
Air Force to Space.
There's a new show on Netflix, I guess, called
Space Force.
Is that it? Yeah, I was having a brain fart. I wasn't sure if it was Space Force or.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen commercials for it. I mean, you guys played a commercial for it right now.
I did. I
Didn't you?
played it at the beginning of the show.
But space is hard.
That's the one.
Yeah. But yeah,
Really?
they say flat Earth like twice. Clearly, the guy is stating that the Earth is flat. And then the one guy says, yeah, jury's still out on that. That's crazy. And in the Rick and Morty, the last episode of Rick and Morty, Rick has a planet fetish now to where I don't know, but he got a planet pregnant and it started spitting out all these Rick-like beings. Really, Rick didn't do it. It was Zeus or something like that. But they look like Ricks, so the planet called Rick. And so he's building a society for his children, and he's separating them. He builds this big machine that's a plant to catch them and put them into, so they can go to work and blah, blah, blah. And it says they're like going into like a pinball thing. And it's got 3 sections. One says flat Earth globe Earth, flat Earth, and Middle Earth. So they're really throwing this flat Earth thing out in all kinds of stuff now. And not so much in a mocking way. Even that Bob's Burgers, when Bob started talking about, well, the sun rises in the east, his son was like, are you a flat earther? Because he knew the sun rose in the east. It's weird. It's like it's slowly turning a little bit. They're not coming out and saying it, but they are saying it in, how they tell us things, the truth. Yeah, I've noticed that in the last, 5-6 months, things have been getting more. It's acceptable to say flat Earth now, and it raises an eyebrow instead of a laugh.
Mm-hmm. From what I'm seeing, sorry, by the way, I just found it. From what I'm seeing, Cammy, it's a hard T and it's Thule for
Thule?
Thule. Thule, yeah, with a hard T. I don't know. I've
I have
Thule,
heard
that
it.
could be.
3 different places now say that, and I just heard it pronounced that way. So
I've heard it
I'm going to
pronounced that
go
way
with
too.
Thule.
I'm going to believe you on that. I have the definite problem that a lot of my fellow readers have. So having an author on there that when you get most of your information growing up in that reading, you create your own pronunciations in your
Yes,
mind,
indeed.
and then it's hard to let go of them.
Yep. Yep.
It's hard to, because that's been one of those that's been like an pronunciation for years in my mind that way. So I'm
Yep.
sure I'm going to make mistakes on it
Well, that
going
just
forward. But
sounds
Thule is
metal
good
as
to know.
hell, man. Stool. That's just like,
Thule.
that's stool. I mean, wow, that's awesome. That's heavy.
It's like
So that's how I've always said it.
or.
Right. That's heavy metal. So
So
Yeah,
I've been saying
it
thank
sounds like some sort of a mythological demon or something.
right. Exactly.
tool.
So Thule.
Something that Beowulf
Thule just
wouldn't
doesn't
slay.
sound nearly as intimidating. Hey, Thule.
It sounds like, except for that you call it tool, but it's spelled Tulle. That like fancy ribbon you use in craft that you can see through, the 2-inch craft ribbon that's kind of meshy. That, by the way, is tool. Tulle, and I always thought that was Thule too, frivolous and Thule.
Oh, that's good. Do you guys have a weird language like English, Douglas?
What do you mean?
Like how we have a lot of words that they sound the exact same, but mean two totally different things.
Yeah, we do. But I'm pretty sure that you have way more words than we do. I think I read that. I think I read that somewhere. I can't remember the exact figures, but the English language has way more words than Germanic. Like German and Swedish. Because Swedish is like German; it's just a weird form of it, basically.
Pretty set in stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, English is still very fluid and changing. It's weird. Ain't is now a word. There's they change things.
And words mean differently, like through the different genres. So when you're reading back in time, you can't assume that a word that right now would be very familiar is used in that context at all. Remember, gay, when I grew up, used to mean happy. And it was common. It was a commonly used, just meaning happy. Happy and gay. I had a friend whose like parents nicknamed her gay. She wasn't gay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just like one of many examples of how, again, the language, I'm sure, there's tons more of them, and how the words just slowly change their meaning over the centuries, even putting time into the element.
So is irregardless, is that a proper word?
No.
No?
It's a made up word.
As good as.
But it's been used so much now, I think it's become an acceptable usage thing. I read somewhere or something.
Supposedly, it's now a word.
And you're stupid.
Irregardless, Savage and Meekin, they are once again skipping school.
They are. Well, they are actually, they've got a lot of other things been going on in their lives. So you can't really fault them too much for wanting to take a break.
No, I don't. It's just fun to harp on stuff.
I find Savage is easy to pick on and fun.
Savage.
Savage.
Yeah,
We
you
miss
know
you,
he's not
John.
going to come to your door. You could say anything to him.
All right.
He might, and you'd never know.
Yeah, he claims to be AI anyway. So
I'm
it's
always
fun
on
to
the
pick on
lookout for that
Savage.
Ginger wig.
Hey, missing you, John.
Yep. Miss y'all guys a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss him too. He's the first guy. He was the first guy from Iron Realm that I contacted
Mhm.
in July last year. So wow, it's almost a year.
Wow, that is almost a year.
That's
Amazing.
nuts.
Yeah, and I remember it clearly. I wrote to him in an email, and he thought it sounded like a great idea. And you had me on in August, right after James True. I think it was James True's first show with you.
Awesome.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Shout out to James, who was in chat earlier, who may still be here listening. But I went ahead and bought my signed copy.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten that copy, the Blueprints of Mind Control. I should get it. You know, before James True, I had never
Sorry.
ever heard the word prana ever. But now I know what it means, sort of.
I had heard it, just never in the context in which James uses it, and not nearly as much as James uses it. But I like the way he uses it.
Yeah,
And that's Quantum Rapture, by the way. My signed copy of Quantum Rapture is what I just bought. I saw on Facebook that there weren't that many copies left. So I figured I'd better jump before I miss out. Because that's why he posted.
I'll look that up right now.
It was only $24. And for the amount of prana that comes with it, you can't beat it.
Can't beat that price.
A lot of prana.
Best apocalypse ever.
So when is the
You beat me to it. Go.
any ideas, Douglas, on when the book may be coming out? Do you expect it within the next year? I know you said at the end of this year is not going to be doable, but
Hopefully early next year.
okay, something to shoot for.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have pretty much the layout of what you want to tell, or is it kind of growing organically?
Yeah, I have it all in my head, which is a good thing because I've had a long time thinking about it, and yeah, it's definitely gonna come, and then I'm gonna write my third book, which is not gonna be flat Earth related, I think, because I'm 99% certain that I will wrap it up in this sequel because I don't want to milk something that doesn't have a you know what I'm talking about. It's just I don't want to be that guy who just you know
Keep it fresh.
precisely. So
will it be conspiracy based, do you think, or will you be looking at other avenues?
I think the third one will probably be a rather straightforward, detective story, which might sound pretty boring, but I have a good idea.
No, those are my mom's favorites.
Yeah.
She loves the detective stories. She's followed authors for decades who write those stories.
Yeah, and
you can even tell when, you know how a writer will sell or not sell, but put out work for other writers to let them kind of join in and on their book, and they'll write certain chapters for them and this and that, or sometimes even like half.
Yeah, and as speaking of mothers, that book my mother actually might read. She hasn't read my first book, but I mean she supports it, but she has no interest whatsoever in theories regarding the shape of the Earth. She just doesn't think it's interesting. So, well, but my dad read it, and he enjoyed it. So, That's 50%.
There you go.
There you go.
Can't beat that.
Yeah,
If you were a baseball player, you'd be in the majors.
Right?
absolutely.
Like all-star majors. I'm sorry, I cut you off earlier, Walt.
Mm-mm. If you
Do you
did, it's
remember?
gone. Yeah,
It's gone.
if you did,
Yeah.
it's gone. No, I think I got it in. I think I asked Doug what I wanted to ask him after. I'm pretty sure. If I didn't, it'll come back. It will come back.
Yeah, I feel like I should say something about it, but I've forgotten what I was about to say. I think
going to
I've
ask you
covered
something.
all the
What was it?
major things here.
Oh, yeah, you asked him about the sequel of the book. That's what it was, Zach. That was it. Yep. Well, what about your book, the current book? I know are we still waiting for it to come out in actual physical form? Is that still coming? The first Voyage?
You mean
What?
you mean what do you mean?
Well, I know it was only digital when you came on the show, when it was published digitally. You were still waiting for the.
I thought you had a copy of the Voyage.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I sure did. That's right. Lord, I'm way behind. I've read it. That's right. That's right. I didn't read it. I had a digital copy of it. That's what I used to have. That's right. That's right. Okay. I'm sorry. My brain's like still.
It's totally understandable,
field.
Walt. You're
You
not
get
even
to
in the
be
ballpark
In
right now.
left
So
field.
yeah, we're not even. Don't worry about it, man.
Yep.
The fact that what you're saying is even remotely close to what we're talking about, kudos to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Walt, don't you remember when you received...
Oh, I do. I got home from the last trip over here. That was exactly
back in August when you received this weird package.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had come here when Mom had first gotten.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing the wrapping.
And
Michelle
it got
had it
to
in
the
a
house,
bag.
and Michelle sent me a picture of it. Yep, it's all coming back to me now. Yep. In fact, I think Mother-in-law borrowed it, didn't she? While we were at the hospital with her dad. I think so. After I finished it.
Yep, that's right. I remember you saying that. Yep.
So I need to check back in on her when I get home and find out if she actually read it or not. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's gonna be a flat earther.
Right, I doubt
3
it.
weeks of no sleeping and all that stuff.
Seriously, but we'll see. We'll see.
Has anybody said that I read your book and I started looking into this and now I'm a flat earther?
No one has said those words exactly, but people have said that it has intrigued them to dig way deeper into what they thought they believed.
Nice.
So that's fun. Someone said that to me on Twitter like 2 weeks ago. So that's a lot of fun, and that came from an atheist actually. So that's fun.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Wow, indeed. But not my dad. I mean, Zach, you've met him, so
yeah, you're not changing his mind.
No. He thinks that this is all a distraction, and the main problem is the climate change and all that. And he's also a huge fan of Greta Thunberg. So there you go.
Dare you?
And a fan of NASA as well.
Yeah, a little bit, but he's definitely more of a fanboy of Greta. I mean, he had a spell when he would post Greta memes for like months on end. So
it happens.
He loves the fact that Greta sailed across the Atlantic instead of taking the airplane. So
yeah, my mom posts all things about anti-Trump all the time. I just shake my head. You told me that they're all lying when I was 8 years old. Apply some of that knowledge. But people get set in their ways, and cognitive dissonance is a real thing. And yeah, I mean, I'm not so worried about trying to wake up the older generation. I mean, it's nice when they do. They come around and see it and, accept it. But I don't really try to push at my mom at all. Like I was with your father. I had no interest in trying to even discuss flat Earth with him. You know,
Yeah.
it was more or less just a nice conversation with a very nice gentleman. And I think that's why he and I got along so well, because you
Yeah,
know when you can start
he-
pushing and when you shouldn't.
I'm pretty sure he was your favorite guy from the Dallas convention because he didn't appreciate some of the more aggressive types, but he did say that like 99% of everyone were so kind and everything.
So, Doug, ask your dad, is he aware that Greta is apparently a time traveler or perhaps a clone as well? Because they've now found her in an old picture, if you look on my screen here.
I've got to ask him about that.
How dare you?
Exactly.
Wow, that's eerie. That kind of
It
did
is
look a
crazy.
lot like her.
It was pretty crazy.
Well, this has been awesome, Douglas.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see. Now you can't go live yet, right? Do you have to have so many subscribers
Yeah.
before you can go live?
I think that's just on mobile.
Oh, that's just on mobile.
I haven't even thought about that, to be honest. And I don't even know if I want to go live.
The pressure.
No, I'm gonna keep doing some videos offline in quiet, where I can exploit my dog at the most.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. There you go.
It's all
That's
about
the secret.
control.
That's it. Keep it in your hand.
Everybody needs to have that control. Just let go.
Once it's live, it could be anything.
Let go and
We have
let
a-
God.
We have a question.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's for your father from Critical Inception, Alex. I believe you probably met him. He was there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He said, did your dad see the video showing the climate change contraband in Greta's car? Has he seen that one? That's one you need to show him for sure. I don't know. Did that make the news?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, she was at one of her climate change convention things, and they went and looked in her car that she showed up in, and there was a bunch of plastic bottles and a bunch of throwaway stuff like that. All the stuff that she preaches against and all that kind of stuff.
God, she's a slob.
Zach, how dare you?
I know. I don't want you to destroy one of your father's, folk
How
heroes.
dare you?
Yeah, the evidence is out there for those who want to go.
Sorry.
Yeah, I do think I remember. He was with Ace McLeod, I think. I think they were. I just remember sitting at my booth all day and talking to so many interesting people, like the Coast to Coast people, which I haven't heard from, but they bought my book. I had really high hopes from Coast to Coast. I thought I would be on Coast to Coast by now.
Yeah, I did too. Tim, Denal.
Yeah, Tim and Steve, they were so nice, and they bought my book straight away, and I was like, oh wow, I'm going on Coast to Coast now. But I haven't heard anything from them actually.
No, I know Tim is a lot more into the alien type of stuff.
Yeah, but
Again,
it wasn't Tim who bought my book. It was Steve.
Steve. Yeah, I didn't talk too much to Steve, but yeah, they were very cool.
Yeah, and they were anti the whole convention, and my dad loved them both. They were talking all the time at the bar. So yeah.
Yeah, Tim. That's still one of his profile pictures. Is him at the flat Earth wearing a big giant hat.
Yeah,
So he said he had a ball there.
Facebook. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, maybe you should give him a ring. Just give him a message on Facebook.
Yeah, perhaps.
Hey, man, the book is out. It did pretty well. Yada yada yada. Working on the second one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never had to try to promote anything. I'm probably the worst person in the world to be giving advice at this. Take that with a grain of salt.
I mean, if I did get that ITV interview, that would have been pretty nice, but you can't cry about that. And Mark Sargent, I think he got like, I'm pretty sure he got 1 million views in one day. I think.
Wow.
Yeah, that guy, he knows how to reel in an audience.
Yeah, it's an art form.
And just
Wise.
imagine, like only that's so long ago. Only 3 weeks after, or I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, I can't remember the exact date. They shut everything down, and you couldn't fly. Well, you can fly, but you know the drill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in February, I didn't even think of this Corona thing, and now look at us, we're all crippled by it. So yeah.
For the record, other than being paid at work to wear a mask, my life hasn't changed a bit. I don't wear a mask when I go out. I don't.
Well,
go
you
out
bought
any
a
less.
gun.
I've not yet bought a gun. Turns out round one of stimulus money went all towards the garden.
Oh, okay.
It is worth it, though.
It was definitely worth it. I mean, it didn't all go towards the garden, but the garden
A couple
took
of
out
knives
a
on
lot.
there, a couple of this.
Yeah, I did also need to feel a little bit more secure. Kind of like you don't want to go live. The feeling you get when you think about going live on your channel is the feeling I got when all of this stuff kicked off and I had no preparations made. So then I needed to gain a little bit of control and realize that if things happen, I need to be able to get somewhere where I can do something. And if things popped off, then I was not in a position where I could really conveniently, consistently, safely get myself and my loved ones somewhere out of even the suburbs. So I spent a lot of money doing that, stocking packs and things like that. But the garden was a pretty large investment, mainly because we wanted to do raised beds this year, which required a huge amount of dirt to do it on the fly. So I've moved at least a couple tons of dirt. No, easily a couple tons. Just being bought at Lowe's or Home Depot. Typically Lowe's, because Home Depot was stupid for this whole COVID shutdown thing. Lowe's was much more relaxed and easier to get in and out of, even with several hundred pounds of dirt. But everything is coming along smashingly. Just got a few more little odds and ends I need for my packs. But in a pinch, we could go, no problem. With the exception, of course, maybe a little bit of self-protection, because the few small firearms we have would only be so effectual and not very at that. But by the time that happens, by the time I need a gun, there should be plenty laying around.
Well, speaking of gardens, big shout out to A. McKenzie in chat. I helped build him a garden last year, early last year, and he has taken to it so much and added to it and expanded on it and got chickens and
Awesome, man. That's awesome.
it's like going back there. It's beautiful. I am so proud that I was the person that kind of introduced him to the gardening bug, because he had it in him the whole time and he is running with that thing. Yeah, it's beautiful what he's done back there.
I get it. I get it, Zach. It's kind of like I feel when I go over to somebody's house and they have rocks all up and down their stairs and on their tables and
Oh,
and,
there's
and
the candy.
tumblers and polish. And yeah.
I have a rock I need to go get and show you because I don't know what the hell it is. Y'all talk and give me a minute.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it on the little screen on my phone good enough for to do a
I'll
rock
send you
ID,
pictures.
but
Yeah, no, I'll
yeah.
send you really good pictures because this thing has intrigued the hell out of me. I've never seen anything like it. Hang on.
Now I'm super curious.
And little does he know, I tested little faceted cuts, bobbles. And so in the rough world, I'm very limited. But I could do good research on it. I can probably look it up, but it's probably not something I'm going to know right offhand.
Sorry, I was reading chats.
I was too. I forgot.
I'm just sitting around being surrounded by knives, realizing that Zach was pretty much dead on there too. I did have spent some money on knives. I've always been a knife guy, but I stopped carrying one and then just sort of got out of the habit of having any sort of watch or knife or even change in my pocket. I just didn't like any of that weight on me. But now I've back into it, and yeah, I generally have at least 2 on me at all times. 3 if I'm carrying a backpack. At
Knives
least
are fun. I learned about
3.
the joy of knives in Greenland and how the different trees react to the knives in carving. I love the way the ironwood feels carving it.
Yeah, I always had 3 knives on me until I went flying around the country.
Oh
And
man.
with my forgetful ass, yeah, I had one in my wallet that they took. And then my baby, my K-bar. I always had my K-bar that was like sticking in my pocket, but it had the clip on there. So it was quick access, always right there. And then I had my little pocket knife with a couple blades on it for picking at stuff and doing whatever. But yeah, I always had 3 blades on me. And now I walk around. I still have other blades, but they're just not those. Just don't carry them with me. One will do for now.
But a
Till I
good
get back.
blade, yeah, a good blade you get used to, and it has, that's terrible that they take it away. Like that little bitty
Yeah, it's
pocket
my
knife was really going to do something. You can call it your fault, but that's kind of silly. I'm
yeah.
not
Oh
thinking
yeah, it's
little
absolutely
pocket knife
silly.
was. How
Yeah,
how long was your little pocket knife? Was it an inch and a half?
yeah. It was called the Little Pecker. I mean, come on. You know.
It's just a little guy.
But yeah, it was made to go in your boot. On the laces right there, it had these things, and it was just a small little knife. It would look like almost like a razor blade. That was at a real. It was just at an angle. Like if you cut a razor blade from corner to corner a long ways, it would be one of those. Just a blade like that with a little handle on it. Yeah, it fit in my wallet. It was perfect.
Oh my God, you could have opened a package.
I know. Yeah, I mean, you do more damage with your fist almost. It's just crazy. That's where they got way out of control.
Waiting for them to say, let's file down those fingernails. They could be weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna show it on the camera just so everybody can see it, and then I'm gonna send you guys the pictures. Okay, so is it visible at all?
Um,
I'm trying to get closer so you can.
Not yet.
Wow. I'm kind of seeing it now. That's beautiful.
Okay,
Oh,
it's
I'm
gotten
I'm not watching in the
polished.
Zoom. I'm watching.
I'm seeing some kind of a crystal or an opal or something.
So in the middle, it's almost like crystally, agate striations, as you see. But then where they cut it in half, because what it is this round thing.
Kind of a crystal or an opal or something.
So in the middle, and it's got these seams that look like welding. You see those seams that look like freaking welds going from here and here and here. Like, and if you look at it really close, that's what it looks like. Like it was welded there, but it's dirt.
Okay, it's not welded there. It's the way I mean, crystals grow angular and different ones will grow against each other. That looks to be, and I'm not getting a good look on
I'm gonna
it
send
on
you
the
the real
little screen.
picture in a second. I'm
Yeah,
gonna send it.
right. And I'll probably be able to look at it better off air, but from here it looks like, again, a banded agate that you'll get some opalization. Things when it probably is something petrified even. Things either petrify or putrefy. When they petrify, you're going to get different layers of things growing to, putrefaction, different crystals growing up against each other. It happens. That's the funniest thing. Looking is like where you're saying it looks like it's welded together, or the corners or the angles. If people really start looking at rocks, you'll see that they grow that way. They grow with all of the corners and the angles when they're rounded. Um, what you call that is you call that river rock or alluvial, meaning it's been tossed in water
Well,
over
see,
years.
my idea was that it must have been a crystal of some sort already, and then some kind of other mud or something got
It grows
dripped
over the
or
top, yeah. In other
grew
words, you can.
together, and
It does that. It will, like where the mud goes over the top, and little other crystals will grow out of that little mud and do it in
I
a little layer
sent
over it,
the
like an
picture
egg.
to Telegram, Josh. If you can go grab it on Telegram, I figured that'd be the easiest non.
So it's not in a Skype or I could go
I
up
can
to a
go to
computer
Skype.
and look.
I can go to Skype too. Hang on, let me
I
see.
could go upstairs. Hopefully I won't
I'm
lose
gonna
you.
send it to Skype. I'm gonna go to Skype too. I just wanted Josh to be able to show it quick.
And I'd like to be able to look at it
All right,
on
here we
something
go.
more
I'm gonna
than
send it to
a
you.
2-inch screen.
It's coming to Skype.
That's
Going
weird.
up to a computer.
It looks blurry in the middle.
I know. I'm just gonna do it in the pre-show room, I guess. Is that a good room? I guess it is.
That's as good a room as any.
There you go, Cammy.
Okay, that's banding on it. That's probably a quartz or fluorite. It's banding. It's not welding. It's banding. And you're right, stuff growing over the top. But you have crystallization going on inside. Tourmalines also will again have that heavy banding up and down on it. God, that's beautiful. I want better pictures of it though.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Hope our graduates are back.
Get more honking.
Getting more honking.
I'll even pull out my magnifying lens and take some pictures if you want later. Anyway, that's enough.
Or you could, tell
Rock
on your way back home, you can lay over in Denver and say, I
Just
need to
drop in
show
and show
her,
it to
and
you.
I have
Right.
equipment and everything. I can tell you exactly what it is. If I can,
Right.
there's something about on rocks and doing pictures. It's much easier to touch, feel, and test a rock than look at a picture. So any idea that we make will be kind of like the best guess from the angle of the camera. There are a lot of rock and families. The families and the reason they're different, things that might make rocks different, is the lattice structures that grow. So if you think of like little building blocks growing together, could be cubes, could be little, put them in dodecahedrons, the different platonic solids, and it's how you have one crystal that's growing out of one lattice structure against another growing out of a different lattice structure. Though, like again, you'll have border edges in that too, but while they're growing themselves, they tend to grow straight lines. The universe really does create straight lines.
Well, that is definitely one thing I picked up from my mom was the rock hound. She came by it honest from her dad, and she passed it down to me without a doubt. I can't go walking without looking at the ground for rocks.
I can't either. I pick them up everywhere, and so many of them are such beautiful surprises that again, you peel off a little layer of them, and there's a treat underneath it, or you just shine it up, and it was there all along. You just look past it. But yeah, they're amazing and growing, and they're to me like one of the purest indications of how things grow and really work. I can't get tired enough of them. Like Zach in the gardens, and I'm going to get the gardening bug. I'm excited to go to a place with a growing season, but I definitely have the rock bug, and I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping to do some crossover shows that get a little bit technical, a little bit metaphysical, a little bit in all directions. With Karen B, we're talking about getting it together. I know I'm talking about moving, so it could be a little bit of a crazy schedule until we get there, but in my realm, I'm moving fairly close to her, and it'll be even more fun to do a show because we can do some rock digs together and work on crystals and hands-on stuff, which to me is everything. Again, it gets that human connection as opposed to just being, on a computer screen, working side by side like Zach at the house and seeing him do the little experiments and that. It's everything to me.
Sounds amazing.
Okay, I did my Cammy rant now on that.
Doug, is there anything we've missed that you wanted to talk about today, man?
Not that I can think of. I think we have covered everything. I just have a fun little tidbit from the supermarket the other day. So, in all of your states, right, you have to wear a mask. Isn't that true?
Nope.
No.
Some states, some cities.
No, not every state.
Okay.
Not in
Okay.
every
Well,
state.
well, no one's wearing a mask here, but people are still on edge because of our. I'm pretty sure that Sweden has the highest death toll per million inhabitant or whatever. So people are on edge. And there was a woman that I almost bumped into, but I didn't. We didn't even touch. But she screamed at me, stay back, keep your distance. And I just felt like, okay, people are so afraid of this, man. And I felt compelled to say that, okay, I've already had this thing. But it was something in her voice that was like, okay, wow, this is a whole different level of fear that I'm hearing. And I hope this won't be a permanent thing that people are afraid of one another. That's just my 2 cents.
No, I hope you're right. But it's that level of fear is why they needed to hype this novel, whatever it is, situation we find ourselves in.
It would be such a depressing future if this carries on like for a long time. It really will be. I can't even imagine. It just brings me down just thinking about this as a long term. It's okay as a short term thing, but as a long term thing, oof, it's depressing. The thought that everyone's wearing a mask, everyone's suspicious and cautious, and
Yeah, they definitely mess with everybody's head. Well, a lot of people's head.
yeah, it's not life. It really isn't life. It's some form of survival mode.
Well, there are small victories. I had a review today at work, and my boss came to grab me to take me to a little private office so we could sit down and do it. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I think he had just used some hand sanitizer and was rubbing it in as we were walking away. I was just kind of laughing. He said, gotta be that antibacterial. I said, yep. For a virus. And there's just that little pause in his step. He kind of looks at me. It makes you wonder why they insist on the antibacterial hand sanitizer when we're being plagued with a virus. I said, really, they say it's just the friction. You'd be better off not using any hand sanitizer and just rub your hands together, like trying to stay warm and actually create friction and heat. It's really the best thing for it. Sanitizer is just a way to make other people rich. Says, I'll be damned. So really, when you think about it, no matter what you think about viruses, which I'm sure it flew right over his head, I said, based on what they say, viruses aren't even alive. He says, huh? I said, so when it says Lysol kills viruses, that's a lie.
The virus is already dead.
Well, if they tell you that, the virus will live on a surface for a certain amount of hours, that's a lie. It's not alive. It's not even that it's dead. Dead implies that it was alive at one time and now it's dead. It's not living. It's not
It's
alive.
like poop.
It's right. It's not a being. It's not a little creature out to get you, to infect you, to
It wasn't
invade
born. It's a Golgotham.
you.
Well, on that note, Josh, it's time for me to say goodnight to everybody and cook dinner. That was gross.
Yes.
It really got him to thinking, though. You could see it. It really triggered some thoughts in his brain that he just hadn't really considered before about the things that he's being told and the way he was looking at what he is being told. It was just interesting. Like I said, small victories. Small
I
victories.
love it.
Yeah, I think it's time for me to say goodnight as well. But can I just make one request? Do you have the Adam Meekin remix song?
That would be great.
Could you please end on that one? I haven't heard that one for a long time.
Yeah, we haven't heard that one in a while. That one.
What?
Adam?
Not a force, but you can think of it as a force.
I believe this is
Friday.
the one you're talking about. I love it. Yeah, we can totally head out on this. As I recall, this has plenty of time to play.
A force, but you can think of it as a force.
But thank you so much for coming to hang out with us tonight, Douglas. It's an absolute pleasure, as always.
Yes.
And I hope you will do it again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, man. Thanks.
Great night. Thank
Congrats
you.
on your book. Big congrats on your new book.
Yes.
Thanks. And thanks everyone in the chat. And thanks so much for having me on. Looking forward to more of these sessions.
And if you guys haven't already, make sure you head out and buy a copy, a hard copy or digital copy, if you prefer, of The Voyage, written by Douglas Falk. And be sure you head on over and subscribe to his self-titled YouTube channel, newly created. Let's see him get those numbers up. Maybe, just maybe, he might gain the self-confidence and do an occasional live stream. Stranger things have happened.
Stranger things.
We're going to try and get you drunk one night, and you're going to just give us the chapter one of your second book.
Right?
Yeah.
I am. I want to know so bad. I just want to read it and know what happens. That was genius how you left it, Douglas.
Yeah, thank you.
It did. It caught me.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure to. The next book has to be good. I'm not going to phone it in.
Right.
Well, and just for the record, Douglas, it doesn't have to be an Iron Realm Media nod. Any sort of constant iron themes in there would be a nod, right? Anything iron, it's FE. Anybody that looks at iron should now be looking at iron as FE, because that's what it is in the periodic table of elements. So it's just FE. It's just the flat Earth. It's just you'll be able to people. It's just an Easter egg.
Yeah. And there should be some really villainous type called Savage.
Right?
Oh, that would be so awesome.
The worst guy ever. Just
Agent
Savage.
Savage. Director Savage. Ooh.
Totally
Yeah, find
savage.
a good title. A good title that goes with Savage. Not Janitor Savage. Savage!
Yeah, Commissar Savage.
Savage Pilot.
Thank you all. Again, Doug, thank you. Love you all. Chat was rocking. Thanks, everybody.
Chat was rocking.
Yeah, we love y'all.
I do, and one more thing I forgot. Rose 777 channel Sunday night. She is doing the Bitches Brew show of Y chromosome challenge flat earthers. So come listen to the bitches on Sunday on Rose's channel.
Yes, indeed.
That's gonna be fun. It's always a fun time with Rose.
Wasn't very nice.
Bitches Brew is what
I'm
she
Neil
called it.
deGrasse Tyson, bitch.
There we go. That's what I wanted. All right, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm just goofy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I've been up for a little while. No naps for Josh. No.
Don't forget to end it with the Adam song.
Oh, no, I've got it queued up
yeah.
here.
It's ready to roll.
I keep it on my soundboard just in case. You never know when you need a loud Musa.
Oh.
And a big shout out to John Savage and the Adam Meakin. Hope at least one of you brothers get your asses back here. We sure miss you guys.
Yeah, we do. Love you, fellas.
Anyway, I guess I'll see you fellas and all you Iron Scouts on Tuesday morning over on tfrlive.com/chat. And if that's not working, try YouTube's the TFR Live YouTube channel. They have a chat over there too. Sometimes you might have to bounce around. You never can tell what might or might not be working. Shout out Chris Gio. We love you anyway. We're still waiting on that redesign. Still waiting. Anyway, I guess that's it.
Everyone.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night, Douglas.
Be good. Be
Night,
well.
all.
Love y'all.
Toodles.
Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force.